Welcome to the Vertex Podcast, where we discover the humanity in artists. I'm your host, Yoyocam. I'm an artist and designer based in Stone Mountain, Georgia. My work covers anything from design and video games to murals across the globe. I'm sitting down with creative professionals of all types each week to get more into the human side behind their incredible work. I get into what fuels their creative drive in hopes to show you that your journey might be similar and that your dreams might be closer than they appear. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get into it. So for people who don't know who you are, can you tell us who are you and what do you do?
Yes. Well, I am an artist, and currently I am in school for computer science at Georgia Tech. And some of my work that I do is I got into murals pretty recently, and I've been mostly a digital artist most of my life.
Okay.
A little bit about me and what I do.
Okay. So, I was doing a little bit of research. So part of the reason why I wanted to bring you onto the show initially was because I know that you've done so many cool things at such an early age. And I mean, you've had some pretty impressive clients, and I've even seen some of like articles. I mean, like Fox 5 and like Procreate, and even your school shouted you out at Georgia Tech. And I'm curious to know, I mean, for you to be so strong in this field already, what kind of upbringing did you have to even be directed this way? Or like what did life put in you so early to be the kind of person who's going so hard in this already?
I think mostly it was the internet. So when I was growing up, I watched a lot of YouTube, and I fell in love with like a video game, Minecraft.
Mhm.
And like when I was on YouTube, I was like, oh my gosh, like I love this game and I want to see other people play it. So kind of I started watching these Minecraft YouTubers, and I was like, okay, well, I want to be a YouTuber one day because they seem like they have such a fun life. They get to play video games, you know, um, do it as their job. And then as I went on, um, I recorded screenplay or gameplay, and then kind of downloaded a lot of tools like how to video edit. And then eventually I realized, okay, well, if I have this channel of mine and I want to make it look prettier, I need like one of those like cool YouTube banners and one of those like cool profile pictures to kind of make myself seem very official. And then I realized, okay, wait, if I want other people to make this for me, I do pay money. And as a kid, I did not have money. So
How
I was
old
like,
were you
okay,
at this time?
I think I was around like 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And my family got I think like a family computer or like an iPad. And like all these YouTubers, they had like really cool banners, really cool profile pictures. And because I didn't have money to pay someone else to make one for me, I just Googled online. I was like, okay, how do you make these kind of profile pictures? And they're like, okay, well, people use Photoshop and people use like 3D software. And I wasn't great at it at first. So I obviously tried. It was not great, but I was proud of it and I thought it was really cool.
Mhm.
And as I kind of got more into the community of like designers, people who make these banners, I realized, oh, like you can make these for other people and can earn some sort of money from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started making like these profile pictures for free, maybe even for like $1 or two. I was like, okay, great. Like I can make money online. And I've never been able to, or I never thought I would be able to do this, but just somehow like happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. And eventually from Minecraft, I think I kind of grew out of it a little bit, but it still holds like a special place in my heart.
Sure.
Minecraft turned into more like the Call of Duty community, Fortnite when it was big. And this is around like high school when all these like Call of Duty teams, they needed designers to design announcements. A lot of these teams held like recruitment challenges where you could like design these things and then join a team. And for some reason, like as a high schooler, clout was a really big thing. And everyone who wanted to get into these teams, it just seems like once you got in, it seems like such a cool thing to have. And that inspired me.
Mhm. So these were teams that were at your school, or are these like professional teams, like online, looking for artists, or like what kind of team were you trying to get on?
So I started posting a lot of my art on Twitter, which is where I found a community of
Hmm.
people my age.
Hmm.
And these teams were online. So
Okay.
not really in person, but just like uh artists I knew from the community online. They're like, hey, like look, I've been trying really hard to join this COD team or like join this competitive esports team. And
Hmm.
once you join it, it seems like you have gained a new status. And
Hmm.
that's where I met a lot of my friends from like age 14 to 17. We were all like trying to get into these teams, trying to improve our craft. Um, it was actually a very like interesting upbringing because I started with community and gaming, and
Hmm.
eventually from like this community gaming, I realized, hey, like I don't want to keep doing fan art for these teams. I don't want to uh keep trying to tailor my art just so I can join these teams. I realized that I could take what I learned from like doing commissions, from improve my craft. I could be an independent artist and start making my own art for myself. And that's when I realized, oh hey, like I could make my own style. I don't have to make fan art of other teams or like other players or like even like right now I still make fan art, but I realized that hey, I have my own art style. I can make my own original art. And that's kind of the story of how I got to where I am today. Um it's like starting from such a young age, being this community of people. I know a lot of people, and through networking, uh, a lot of the opportunities I've been given is through like friends, through like word of mouth, and that really helped me when I got started.
Curious as to where your early hustle came from, because as an artist, when you're growing up and you're just drawing cool stuff, it's one thing to want the banners. I can understand where you're wanting to see these profile pictures. You want one, and so you're like, well, I can just I can try to make my own. As a young creative, you're like, okay, well, let me see if I can put it together. But then even to see that you can make something, and then you're going into like, oh, I can make money offline, where that doesn't seem like an idea that you were 11 at the time, or 12, probably like around that point. And so like as an 11, 12-year old, what put the hustle in you? Where did you find that it was so important to like be able to make money off?
I think like it didn't start with the money part. It kind of started with the social media attention,
Okay.
uh, like getting likes on posts. And as a kid, when I first started, I was like, if one or two people like it, I thought it was so cool. And um, I was very inspired by people who got a lot of attention of their art. And even though people say that, hey, like art isn't just for likes, but as a kid, even now, it feels really nice to see appreciation for something that you spent time creating. And so at first, I kind of put my work out there um, as fan art for these like YouTubers to see because it was really magical when you drew something for someone that you were a fan of and they saw it. Just like, oh my gosh, like, okay, that just
Sure.
gives me so much motivation to like draw another one for another person who might give me attention as well. Um, so I really liked art. I never got like it never made me bored, and I never saw it as a job. It was just like, oh, people like to play tennis, and I like to draw art. And then when I realized that, okay, well, people started appreciating my art, and let's say that there was this artist that is doing commissions, and at the time, like my PayPal account had like $0 in it, and they're like, okay, well, I would draw you for $5, but I was just like, oh, I have like no money, and I realized, okay, well, I can draw art, so I can basically do commissions, so people will give me money, and then I can take this money that I earned and commission this other artist that I really like. And
Mhm.
it was like earning from the community, but also being able to support the artists that I really like and receive their work as well at the beginning. And even now, it's the same thing.
Okay. Did you was that like your introduction into art as well, or it sounds like you might have been drawing for a long time before you even started going on social media and stuff.
I think I was always kind of predominantly on social media when I first started. Say like any type of art. Obviously, I was like in school. I just drew for fun, showed my mom,
Mhm.
and then uh, I wonder if I have like older drawings, but let's see. I think from a very young age, I really liked to do art, and I would make comics. I would, try to enter art competitions, but obviously I was not great at first. Um, but it was just one of those things where I didn't really know how I started. It was just like I think ever since a kid, I just really was interested in like the creative fields.
Okay. Yeah, I feel the thing that got me into art was it felt like it was the only thing that could represent me being able to have something tangible from like the things that I enjoyed. So if I saw like a really cool TV show back then, like cable, you don't really have like streaming services and things like that. It's just like this show comes on at 6:30 and it's gone till tomorrow or whatever. And so if I really like SpongeBob or Fairly Odd Parents or something, and after 7 o'clock, I don't see nothing until the next day. So I'm like, I needed something to be able to like have something tangible that I could have for myself that represents this thing. And so I think that's kind of what got me into drawing to begin with. Is that you think that's the same for you, or how do you feel about it?
I think for me it was a good question. So when my parents they own a restaurant, and a lot of the time it was like we didn't have phones, we didn't have any sort of technology back then. At least like when I was really young, and something we did have was like pencil and paper, and I got really into like I'm just like sitting at a table, like what can I do right now? If I have a
Mhm.
piece of paper, I have a pen, I could draw. I made a lot of origami as a kid. I used tape, scissors, and just kind of entertained myself using what I had
Mhm.
at the
Well, where
time.
go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, oh, obviously, as a kid, like, there's outside sports. You could run around outside, ride bikes. I did that too, but I think, you would get tired. Or at least me personally, I would get tired after like a few hours, and I just want to come inside and entertain myself with something less energy intensive. And that's when I was like drawn to just arts and crafts, using paper, drawing, and kind of entertaining myself that way.
So where were you often at your parents' restaurant? Where was this restaurant?
So I grew up in Minnesota and I still live there. And this restaurant's in like my hometown. And a lot of the times my parents would be working and I would just be sitting in a corner booth. They brought me to work. I was too small to stay at home by myself,
Mhm.
and that's where I spent a lot of my time. After school, and then sometimes when they were very busy working, they couldn't really like drive me home, so I just kind of stayed at the restaurant and needed to find something to do.
Mhm.
And I guess like drawing and crafts was what I resorted to.
For sure. Do you think that that restaurant or the time at that restaurant had any impact on maybe how you saw the world or any values you hold close? Are there any impactful moments from that restaurant?
That's a good question that you bring up. So I think one of the biggest reasons why I was inspired to start like, for lack of a better word, like hustling from a young age was because something that my parents really like drilled into my brain was you have to work hard to make money, go to college, uh, get a job, and then working at the restaurant. Something that they told me was like they're working very hard so we can have a better life. And as a kid, I was just like, okay, you're working hard to earn money, and money equals a better life. So I was just like, and money can buy all these like toys, all these like cool things. And I was always like trying to be an entrepreneur. I was like, okay, maybe I can like sell lemonade or something, like draw comics and sell them for 10 cents. Like I think as a kid, another point of inspiration was I read a lot of comics, and in these comics, there's kids always like doing lemonade stands or selling things at a bake sale, and I
Comics were
thought
you
that
reading?
was inspiring for some reason.
Yeah.
So I thought I could do that in real life as well.
Which comics were you reading? You remember?
I think if you've heard of like Baby Mouse, Ignite,
Mm. I don't think so.
what else? Pete the Cat, Dogman,
Dog man.
um, Dogman. There's also like the Batman comics, Spider-Man, read a lot of, like Uncle Scrooge, Donald Duck.
Mm. Mm. Were you were those things that like you would make fan art of too in the beginning, or was it more so just in the way that the characters acted that was inspiration?
I think it was their sense of humor that I thought was, kept me like reading them. And then a lot of the times, comic characters I read, they're like the underdog of whatever like storyline that they're part of, and they're always trying to improve themselves, try to be successful. Like even in like Big Nate, he's like always like trying new things and trying to get like I guess like this one I forgot the name of the girl that he was like always chasing after, but I just like really admired his effort
Mhm.
in a lot of things.
Mhm. Interesting. So then you decided to. Did you know early on that you wanted to do something with art, or was it more so like this is just what I'm rocking with right now, and if it pivots, it pivots?
I think when I started art, I purely did it for, like entertainment because I found it really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect anything to come out of it. Uh, it was just that like one of the biggest things I tell people is like, okay, at first I didn't expect anything out of it, but every single day I put in effort, I was consistent and never just like gave up and stopped doing it. And just
Why
by
is that?
doing that, huh?
Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. I was asking why is that?
I did it because I thought it was fun. Like a lot of people, they want to start a new instrument and they're like, okay, I'm going to practice every day for this amount of time. But you have to also find it fun to find it not like a chore, if that makes sense. Like I did art because I thought it was fun. I didn't find it like, oh, I have to do this to get better. I never thought that way. I just like it's like playing video games. I did art because I just found it very entertaining. And eventually, like online, I found a lot of people who are similar to me. They posted their art. They were there every day, and I found them as support and as friends. And because they showed up every day and kept drawing art, showing the group chat what they made, I was also inspired to do the same. And over time, I think like the art brought opportunities to me instead of me trying to look for opportunities myself, if that makes sense.
Sure. Especially because you were sharing it out pretty often, and so people have no choice but to see it, and so that's just gonna naturally like it brings it to you. Mm. So then in school,
Oh,
go for it.
I was just gonna say, like when I was trying to sell my art, I wasn't asking people to buy it. I wasn't like trying to be like, hey, like buy my art, like whatever. I think it's just like by sharing it, people started asking me if I could draw them for like this amount of money, and I just like I don't know. It was just like eye opening. I was just like, huh, you want to people want to buy my art? I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's usually we oftentimes will see things so critically, like as the artist who made something. And so, especially young, like at a young age, whenever you find out like people are willing to, it's like you want to spend like real money to buy this. And you're like, yeah, it kind of puts into perspective like this level of some sort of level of expertise that you've gotten to the point where you're moving people to the point where they want this to be a part of their life. They want it in their homes or on their their wallpaper or however they want to consume it.
I think another thing was like when I started, I didn't sell my art for actual money. Like
For
I
what
started
money?
playing. I didn't sell my art. Like when I very first started at the very first time. I wasn't trying to sell my art for like money specifically because I was playing like video games like Roblox, Minecraft, and there were a lot of in-game things I wanted. Kind of like sold my art for like gift cards or like some sort of like in-game credits. And then that eventually like moved on to actual like money.
Mhm. That's what's up. Did you find it hard to connect with people in school because of the online presence and because of how serious it sounds like you were taking it to grow and improve? um how did that affect your ability to connect with the people around you in school? Like I found, especially around like high school and then college, once I started to get really ambitious about what I wanted to do with art, it was hard to connect with people who were like also just teenagers and they just want to like chill or play video games or just go to this party or whatever. And like, I'm trying to, I'm trying to lock in. I'm trying to do what I got to do. And so it was harder to connect with a lot of people on that front. Did you find that to be the case for you?
I think it's kind of opposite for me in a little bit. So like when I was in school, I was anonymous online. I didn't really share my digital art with like my peers because like I don't think I really knew anyone in school who was like drawing digital art and like posting it. Um, I didn't really talk about art in school either. I just kept the two, I guess, personalities like completely separate. So like when I went to school, I was this one person, and then when I came home, I was this other person that had like this whole like other community of friends and like the online presence. I think I finally connected and like started merging the two personalities or like the two profiles together after I started going to college. It's because in high school, I didn't know that many artists, to be honest. I probably knew like one, and they were not a digital artist at all. They just drew pictures, like using a pencil. And, I thought that was cool. But, like, if I was like really into making 3D, it was probably no one I could talk to in person. and the only people I could actually really talk to, like my age, into 3D was online. And after I turned 18, I got my invitation to my very first gallery show, and I was like, okay, it's in New York. I can't, put a mask on and go and be like, yeah, I don't know whose art this is on the walls. I'm the artist, but like I'm gonna keep myself hidden. That was I just really couldn't do that. So I was kind of forced to like show up there with my face in person and meet these other artists who are also part of the show in real life. And I was just like, okay, well, that wasn't too bad. Like now I can be like, yeah, I'm Sarah, but this artist personality, Zwist, is also me. And I kind of like merged those two together. And when people started asking me about my art, I had like something to show them. If someone asked me like what I did, I just showed them my art at first. And that was kind of eye-opening for me because I was just like, oh wow, like these artists, they exist in real life. And when I got to college, even in school right now, I don't know too many artists, but outside of school, like after moving to Atlanta, there's all these galleries with this community of artists, like meeting you as well. I'm just like, wow, there's people who do this professionally, and now I can become friends with them.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier to connect with like these artist communities instead of trying to like be these two completely different people when I was in high school and college.
Yeah, I was asking more for like your ability to connect with the people in school, uh, and just like in your grade level and stuff like that. It sounds like you kind of had like a Spider-Man Peter Parker situation going on where like it sounded like you deliberately kept the two lives separate. Like were you keeping it like a secret?
Somewhat, because I think at first I was embarrassed to show my art to people.
Why is that?
Yeah. Mostly because I guess like my friends back in high school, I was a little bit self-conscious, and I made all these fan arts of like these YouTubers, and I didn't really want to show them, if that makes sense.
Mm.
But I think I got a lot more comfortable showing my art after I found my own art style and drawing my own art instead of drawing fan art of like other people or like other characters. And also because like over time my art improved. So it was a lot better to show people. And it wasn't like, oh yeah, like this art looks like this. I don't want to like just like show off my art I made. That isn't great. But as it improved, I got more confidence to show it off to other people.
So when you found your own art style, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm gonna assume that you mean the clouds and the animals, like the big blue skies. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that is.
So where did that come from? From going from YouTube, like YouTuber fan arts, like Minecraft, to the cloudy skies. Can you walk me through that journey of how it went from A to B?
Yeah, yeah. So, like when I started, obviously it was like YouTuber fan art, Minecraft. I posted it. A lot of people liked the art, and I realized that people liked the art not really because it was like my art specifically. It was because they either liked the character or they were a fan of the YouTuber. And I saw that, and I was just like, oh, what do people think if I just like drew something that isn't really related to anything and kind of my own original thing.
Mhm.
And the very first piece I posted of my cloud art, it was still not my original art. I redrew a cat meme in like a cloudy art style, and it was my very first piece that went viral. So I was like, huh, I guess people really like this art style. And ever since that day, I just realized that, okay, well, now there's this thing that people really like, and I want to make it recognizable as my art style. So I just kept rolling with it for a bit. And then I think over time, like the style just kind of evolved a little bit. Like I started including more elements. I also improved in art over time, so that helped a lot as well.
So, what kind of changes did you make from that initial the meme redraw to stuff that we would see like in recent shows from like this year?
I used to draw a lot of people and a lot of, I guess, non-landscape things. And I wanted to get a lot better at landscape, get a lot better at uh just the overall like ambience of the art. And over time, um I discovered new techniques like spray paint. When I first flew to Atlanta, I saw Calamari's mural on the side of that like big complex. I was like, oh my gosh, that looks so cool. Let me like look up his Instagram and then see how he got started. And that kind of led me into, discovering like the ABV, all these artists from Atlanta. And I tried my hand at spray paint when practice in like the Krog tunnel. I found it very fun. So that was one kind of how I started with murals. And then because spray paint, it's, at least for me personally, it's kind of hard to get like very, very small details. So I realized it's time to kind of take my art and go more abstract route. Does that make sense?
So you're going, was the decision to go abstract in response to the difficulty of getting small details, or is it from some other influence?
It was when I started spray painting at first, and I learned how to kind of use the cutting technique.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked how the sharp edges started looking. So then I also started using like that similar technique in like my digital art. When back then, like I used to like draw clouds like roundish and like smudge it. I never really had any like sharp edges in it to, I guess, make it look a lot cleaner. And after like realizing like, oh, I could do this technique with spray paint and make it look very clean while have like sharp edges. I started using like the eraser tool, using the round brush and Procreate, and started doing a lot of like sharper edges.
Mm.
And effects. And even in my recent painting, like for ABV or like the last show with the fish in the clouds,
Mm-hmm.
started using this like the same technique with my clouds, and that just made a very kind of unique way to paint clouds. I can just walk through like my art.
Mm-hmm.
Blurry.
It's okay. It was there, and then it was okay. There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
And so you're talking about the sharp, the softer, like body parts, and then like the sharper edges.
Let me find. Alright, so this is something I drew a while ago. I think like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of incorporated that in my digital painting and started using a eraser brush a lot more
For
to
sure.
make like sharper edges and make my artwork nowadays look a lot more cleaner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. I think my artwork evolved in that same way. When the more I would spray and the more that I would cut back. Nowadays, when I'm drawing on the iPad, like I'm using the eraser just as much as I'm using the pencil. Or now that I know I'm coming back with the eraser, I can get a lot more free and messy in like whenever I'm using the pencil or the brush, because I know it's going to get cut back. So it's not like you're trying to stay within particular like bounds anymore, because you're like, well, anything that I don't like, I'll just come back and cut it. So it really helps to like push energy and stuff like that, especially digitally, because you can you can kind of manipulate it with your like selection tool and stuff like that too. So yeah.
Yeah, that was like a very eye-opening moment for me.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, like you can use the eraser tool not as an actual eraser as
Mhm.
much as an app tool that you can also use to draw with.
Mhm. So okay, so I understand that you did the meme redraw, it went viral. You you stayed on that for a little while, um, because you were seeing that it was getting good reception. But there has to be something in that for you to be able to keep at that for so long. And so what part of it helped you stay that course, like to help it become the thing that you're branded off of, that is your recognizable style? Is there anything that connects with you about clouds or animals or skies?
There's a lot of artists that I take inspiration from who are very, very good environmental artists.
Mm-hmm.
And probably my main inspiration for trying to improve that landscape. And the thing is, like with those artists, uh, their styles are sometimes unrecognizable because it's like the Riot Games art style, and then if you have all these different artists like doing the same Riot Games art style, it's kind of difficult to know who drew this piece specifically just by looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, like I wanted to, like be as good as Riot artists, do like these super detailed, nice, valued like landscape paintings or like wallpapers. And then I think at first I started doing that mainly just to improve myself. And then I realized I want my art to be recognizable. And if I just do this one style enough times, like I feel like I would be known by this art style. And also, when I started doing or like started posting this style like specifically, people kind of caught on. They're like, "Oh hey, like they would see clouds and be like, hey, that's Zwist art," and then from those comments, I'd be like inspired a little bit or like encouraged to keep drawing that art style.
All right. So when it came to developing your craft and your style, what kind of time were you putting in, like on the daily, in terms of just mileage, elbow grease?
Let's see.
Can you give us an idea of if we could watch you during some of the years where you were really, you know, full frontal into developing your craft? If we could just observe you in like a day or in a night, what will we see?
I think at first, let's say that I was like 11, 12, 13, when I was still doing like the fan art and 3D work for Minecraft. I think I was putting in around like 3 hours, 2 hours a day. A lot of it was just from rendering, waiting for things to download, and also drawing at the same time. But as time went on and I stopped doing as much like 3D as I did before, I started drawing more on my iPad, and I didn't have a great like attention span, so I think from like 13 to 14, 15-ish, I put in maybe like 1 or 2 hours a day. And I think starting from 15 to 17, I wanted to get really good at it, and pieces started taking longer and longer. And I probably drew maybe like one piece a week or one piece every 2 weeks, and the piece would take around like 5 hours, around 5 hours. And then when this art hobby became a lot more serious after I turned 17, I started getting contracts and then work, and then also trying to put out as much art as I could, on my platform. And I think by then I was was this 1 week, I think I put in 40 hours on Procreate just for fun for some reason. And
Shift.
for this one piece that I did when I was 19 that I put in around 70 hours. And I think like nowadays I probably spend around like 20 hours to 25 hours on Procreate a week aside of school.
Man, you're like literally clocking in.
Yeah.
Interesting. So can you tell me about, can you help us relive the first big opportunity that came your way?
Let me see. I think the first big opportunity was when I was around 15, and I made this fan art for Ninja, the Fortnite streamer, if you've heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw that, and that was back when he was, like going viral all the time. And he saw my work and he reposted it. And I think I went from 500 followers on Twitter to 2,000 followers overnight. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe he saw it. And this, he got married, I think a year later. And his wife messaged me asking if I could paint a digital picture of their wedding. And I think I was like 16 at the time, 15 or 16. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I think I was 15. I was like, I can't believe this. And I spent so much time in that artwork, and that just like really inspired me to keep working at it, because now I have a lot more support. People are asking me to commission them for art, or commission me for art. And because of like all this attention, in a way, I couldn't really just like quit right there, because this is like the high, right? I'm writing right now, and I wanted it to last forever, but it didn't last forever. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just like keep posting and maybe I'll find my next opportunity. And because like I was very used to reaching out to people, posting work and like tagging them, I was very comfortable with just like messaging a lot of companies, messaging a lot of like big artists that I don't even know if they would like even reply to me in a sense. So there was this one company called Artifact that they were making shoes at the time, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. My friend Jaden, he got an opportunity with them, so I just sent them this big long message. I was like, hey, I think I was like 17 at this time. I was like, hey, I'm an artist. I would love to work with you guys on a project. And they were making shoes, and I was like, you know, it's fine if you guys don't respond to me, but I just want to like hit you guys up and try. And they responded back to me. They're like, we would love to bring you on to our next project. And so I started working with Artifact on like a shoe collection project, and we were working on it for quite some time. And this company Artifact, they got acquired by Nike a year later. So the shoe we were working on got moved over to Nike, and original shoes, they got tossed, scrapped. And they're like, hey, this project is now for Air Force Ones. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And I was like 17, so I really didn't know, like, I was like, have I made it or something? It's like, this was like an opportunity in my life. And another thing that I learned from that project was that at first they're like, hey, like we have a deadline of 3 days. We need you to make us a design in 3 days. But if you can't make that, it's fine. Like we'll bring you on to our next project. And I was just like, okay, well, I have to get this done. They gave me an opportunity and I have to deliver this project in 3 days, because in my head, I told myself that there's not going to be a second project. I can't like wait and hope that there's a second project coming. I just like, it's okay. Like I can deliver this in 3 days. And this project turned into the Nike project. And I realized, and also over time, the second project just never happened. So I told myself, yeah, like that day, if I was like, oh yeah, it's fine, like I'll wait for the second project, like I would have never gotten this opportunity.
That's so real. Like there's some there's certain times where like you have to be able to just take that first opportunity, whatever it may be, because a lot of people they walk around and they think, oh, this isn't convenient for me, or oh, this doesn't pay as much as I'm worth or as I deserve, or or some sort of excuse as to why they can't do it or why they shouldn't do it. But I think that it's so important, especially when you're coming up and you're looking for opportunities, especially if you're hungry for it. Now, if you're just like a hobbyist or you don't really care that much, fine. But if you're hungry for it and you're looking to grow your craft, it's very important to take those opportunities. And one specific quote I got from my good homie Tommy, he always told me, you got to keep hitting home runs. Like, you don't necessarily have to one up yourself every time. Make sure it goes over the fence every time, and do your very best in that moment. And a lot of times the rest will take care of itself. But but you definitely have to take those opportunities and really really kill them, because you, like you said, you might never get that opportunity again. And you're thinking the person's talking and they're like, yeah, like, if this doesn't work, we can just get you on the next one, whatever. Not always. Not always. That back
And I
burner
can
is a very dangerous place.
I can also like recall, so well, I did the album art for Epic, which is it blew up over like the past 2 years. And I remember the very first day they asked me, they're like, hey, like Sarah, we need this cover art like yesterday, and can you do it in 3 hours? And I was like,
Woo!
yeah, I got you guys.
3 hours.
They're like 3 hours, like we need it right now. I was just like, okay, I got you. And then like from that day on, like they've given me returns that I never thought this project would grow into something so big. And I never thought this project would help me in so many ways. And I was just like so glad that I was able to help them and they were able to help me back later.
So what is the Epic? I know that it's Epic, the concept album, and I only know about it because of the work that you've done for the album. I've listened to like a little bit of one, but I honestly don't know anything about it. So for people who don't know what Epic is, can you explain to us what it is and what exactly are they doing? What makes it so cool, so huge?
Of course. So during COVID, there's like this genre, like a theme that kind of blew up a little bit. It was people tried taking like Disney characters and making musicals about them, or like any random topics, making musicals about them. And um Jay, the creator of Epic the Musical, he's a very talented songwriter, and he decided to make a musical about Odyssey, or well, I think it was like Homer's Odyssey.
Mhm.
And it's about Odysseus going down this path, and then he wrote all these songs, had these concepts, posted them on TikTok. It gained a lot of attention, and then he decided one day to take those concepts, those little clips, and turn them into an official concept album of complete sagas about each of these I guess parts that Odysseus was going through. And so the very first concept album that they came out with, they were planning on using some sort of image that I can't really say anything about, but it would be not well received. And they're like, okay, well, we know that people aren't gonna like these pictures, so we need an artist to draw us original art like right now. And Jay's childhood friends, Jonathan. He was one of my artist friends that I met 2 years ago before I met Jay. He's like, hey, like my best friend's working on this musical. We need an artist to draw us an album cover art right now so we can make the deadline. And he asked me because I was his friend. And then because I was able to deliver that art, I got the opportunity to work on the rest of the concept albums for this very like widely known musical concept album. And over time, it just gained a bigger and bigger audience. And that has helped me a lot in also growing my own social presence. But yeah.
Mm. And so for each part of Epic, you were doing a new piece of artwork for each section of the story. And is that something that's still going on now, or is it all finished up?
So you can think of each of these sections as like music albums,
Mm-hmm.
individual music albums releases.
Mm-hmm.
And I finished the last one last December.
Okay. And you said that this project has brought you returns that you would have never imagined. What are some of those?
They brought me like more opportunities from other album or other artists like looking for album artists.
Mhm.
And it also helped me grow my Instagram by a lot. I think around like 20K of my new followers that I got was from working on this project.
Interesting.
And also on something interesting, it was just like this project that Jay worked on, Epic the Musical. I didn't realize how like widely known it was. And sometimes at school, I would hear friends be like, hey, like I listened to Epic the Musical. And like I didn't know like you worked on the album art for it. That's so cool. And like at school, it just feels like kind of surreal when you put out work online and then like people in real life know about it and they ask you about it.
For
It's
sure.
like really, really cool.
That's that full circle moment, because it sounds like you were very used to having those two separate, like real life and then like the online. And you're probably used to like likes and engagement coming in online, but then when you see somebody like, oh, this is a person, and you think about it, this one person has approached you, that's like one like, essentially. And so you think about these posts that are getting thousands of likes, hundreds of comments. That's literally thousands of people, hundreds of people just enjoying the work. You know, it helped kind of put a new perspective on engagement for me, because you're like, it's easy to just see like a little blip on your phone, like, oh yeah, this person liked, this person commented, but when you think that's a whole person that is deciding to like or to say something, it's like, wow, you know. You ever see it like that?
I try to and I do. I was like, oh wow, there's like so many people. At the same time, it's kind of hard to imagine that until someone in real life like comes up to you. It's like, wow, there's a whole person that
Yeah.
knows my work. I guess like I'm also curious. Are you mainly building like your audience for your art in like real life, or do you also use social media as like a big way?
You see, I think early on I was trying to go the social media route because I was in school, and I feel like people knew I drew, and it felt like, okay, everybody in the school kind of knows I can draw, but we're all just students. Like nobody's able to bring other opportunities just yet, because we're all still like young. We in high school. We don't know nobody yet. We're not doing big work yet. And so that's when, like, if I wanted to keep growing my name, also being inspired by people that I'm seeing online. I used to be on DeviantArt really heavy, and I would post my work on there. It's actually still up too. It's like some cringy stuff from like 10, 15 years ago. But I used to post a lot on there, and I used to always want to be one of those people who had a huge following online. Like, just I always wanted to know, man, what does it feel like to post something and you're catching like 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 likes or whatever? Like, phone's got to be going crazy. You know,
Yeah.
you probably got all kind of people in the DMs asking about this or blah blah blah. And I would post, and I would do monthly challenges like Inktober, March of Robots, stuff like that. But it didn't really work as well for me. I had one big jump whenever I did the. Did you ever know about the style challenge?
I think so.
It was like you take one like character and then you try to draw it in the style of like whatever different like shows or anime. And I did one, and it went viral overnight. And I didn't have anything over 100. I had never got 100 likes on anything I'd ever posted before then. And I remember I just posted it. I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning. It was like 600 likes. And for me, I was like, oh, like I had nothing more than like, I think the most I got was maybe like 70 likes. And I was like, for 70. And so it kept going. It kept going over the course of like 2-3 days. I got to like 14,000, 13,000 likes or something. I went from like 800 followers to like maybe 2,100, 2,200, something like that. And I'm thinking like, I made it. We're here. Like, that's what it is. Like, this is how it feels to be famous. And, and I think from there, I wanted it to keep going. You know, I made another style challenge, and it did well, but not as well. And I don't know, the climb just kind of slowed. And so it was around there where like I was like, well, style challenge is over, but I can still keep posting. I could still keep trying to grow it. And so I'm posting and posting and posting, and it's growing slightly. But I think that over time, that trend has just kind of slowed down. I have gained a lot more followers since then, but it's not as strong of a climb as I would like for it to be. And so it was around that time when I was around college and I started getting into the city. I started interning for artists, and I started learning who the artists in my city were and the different types of things going on just in my area. And so I kind of like that more because I'm showing people my work at shows. I'm showing my people stuff at galleries and stuff like that. I'm trying to figure out who's who, showing them who I am, trying to teach them what kind of work I do. And I think I like that a lot more. And I think it was because that same kind of feedback, like whenever the person approached you about like, hey, I listened to the album and it was so amazing, I was catching that. And it felt a lot nicer to me than like a notification of somebody liking, somebody commenting. And I found that it was bringing me opportunities a lot quicker too, because I could post something and I'm catching, however many likes. But then that's it until the next time I post something. But I might meet one good person in the city and they're going to invite me over here, and that's going to give me something that'll, put me onto some other radar where I get a whole lot more eyes. And so, yeah, I think to answer your question, I've gone more so in person with it, but I would like to continue growing my social media presence. I haven't been as diligent with the consistency or playing the game, like following the reels and learning the algorithms and like hashtags and just different ways of playing that game. So, but it is something that I would like to do in the future. I would like to keep growing my social media presence, but at least for right now, it's just been in person for the most part.
See, it's like I'm like very inspired by that. Since most of my art career has been on social media, and after I went to my like very, very first gallery show, I just realized like how much nicer and how much cooler it felt to be in person with all these like other creatives. And you can talk to them actually in person about all of these like interests that you have in common. And I you said that you find it harder or easier to find like opportunities in person. Oh, I'm also trying to like try to go to these in-person events, but I kind of find it like harder, at least for me personally, to able to like talk to these people and have it go somewhere instead of like very surface level. Do you have any like tips, or do you just like become friends with this person over time and then that's how like you get a deeper connection?
Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes I'll just meet somebody and we exchange Instagrams, and that's the end of the interaction for the night, and then months down the road, they might just be following my work passively online, and then they're like, "Hey, I got something that just popped up." But
Yeah.
there are a lot of times in person that can help by I give a lot of credit to when I was in college, I was a valet parker. And so I used to have to do a lot of small talk, just introducing myself or like, just taking the keys from somebody to go and park it and all that. It was a lot of that. And so once I got to art shows and stuff like that, I'm seeing these people, oh, these are just more people to just be able to talk to, small talk. But I think one thing that helps with the connection is two things, I would say. To be genuinely interested. So before you go and speak to whoever, a lot of times I'll go in and like, I might already know who I want to talk to. It's like, oh, this is the gallery owner right here. Or you can even ask somebody like, okay, who's the person who put all this on? Like even in a general conversation, like, hey, so like, started all of this, or like, where did all this come from? And then they'll be like, oh, like that's such and such over there in the corner having, drinking the wine. He puts these on every month. And so then it's like, target. Let me go and speak to them. And so then you think about what it is that you want to speak to. What are you curious about? Like, are you trying to become a part of this next time? Do you want to help with the organization? Do you want to just get to know the person? Think about what it is, and then that way, like, you don't have to do that calculating in their face. So then by the time you get to them, you're already like, oh, hey, so I came over here because blah, 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 blah. Because a lot of times if they're the person in charge, it's a lot of people coming up to them anyway. And so it'd be easier and smoother to already have something there. And also, I call it taking a flank, which is like, talking to them about something that doesn't revolve around the main thing they do. And so if I'm the owner of an art gallery, everybody's going to be trying to show me their art. Everybody's going to be trying to talk about art and shows and how can I get a piece, whatever. If you come up and talk to them about something else, like if you notice they have on a football jersey and you're like, oh, are you a fan of Seahawks? And they're like, oh yeah, that's like my favorite team. And then you can start going into, now y'all are talking about football, and it's a whole nother situation. And they're going to remember your conversation a lot more than the hundreds of other people who just talked about art all day. Because they're going to be like, man, but that one right there, she talked about the Seahawks. I love the Seahawks. Like, she was really cool for that. And then if you're lucky, they may even turn around and ask you, so like, so why are you here? Oh, well, I'm actually an artist, and I actually want to, I came here just to peep the vibe, and I'm coming up here. I go to school, and just wanting to see if I could be a part one day and all this. And they're like, because now y'all have established this connection. Y'all are Seahawks buddies now. And so now it's easier to be able to work your way into that space. And so, yeah, I would say be interested genuinely, and then find a flank if you can, because you can even see it in conversation. If they mention something real quick, you can like find something interesting in that. If you're like, how was your day? Oh, it was good. I went to, I don't know, I just came back from vacation and, this is the first show of the month or whatever. Oh, where'd you go? To Guatemala. Oh, okay. Well, and now y'all are talking about Guatemala. It's a completely different situation. And so, yeah, I would say that.
Like something I kind of struggle with is I'm a pretty introverted person, and because I stuck with social media for so long, I'm like shy to like go up to this person because I'm just like, okay, well, I kind of know what it feels like to have like so many people just come up to you because they kind of want something out of you, and I don't want to be annoying in that sense, if that makes sense.
For sure.
Like if I see like an artist painting on a wall, so much easier to go up to them when they're like one of one alone. You just talk to them about art. But if they're like a huge group setting where like everyone's trying to talk to them, everyone's like trying to go up to them, but it's like, okay, well, how do I go up to them without being like the same person that they already talked to before me? If
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would definitely say that that flank will help. I went to
Mhm.
Lightbox last year, but really the one was 2 years ago. The one that I remember that helped with this. I met Proco, and before I actually met him, he had a guy who was basically like in front of the line, like kind of just keeping the flow nice. And so I get to talking to him, and I remember I forget exactly what we were talking about. We were talking about everything, like just any sort of just, I mean, food, LA, um, anything. And I remember the next day I came back and I remembered his name. And he was so surprised I remembered his name. And he was like, man, nobody's called me by my name all weekend. You understand? Like, and it was so, I was telling him, like, yeah, like, I mean, I'm pretty good with names anyway, but I was like, yeah, I mean, you told me, I just wanted to call you by your name instead of just like saying like dude or something. And I remember he told me, he was like, you're doing the right thing with this because a lot of people just want to pull up and just push their portfolio on somebody's face, and they don't even think about the person behind this brand. People just want to come and meet Proco. They don't even look me in the eyes, but the fact that you're even speaking to me is like you're doing the right thing there. So, um, I would say learning to see the people first, I think will help too, because giving people that baseline of respect helps. And I mean that for better or for worse. So when you'll see sometimes like people with like either like homeless people or like not as flashy jobs, like if they're a custodian or like something like that, where people like they don't respect them in a general sense, or they wouldn't respect them as much as they respect like the CEO company or something. Being able to give them that same amount of respect is going to help you be memorable. But then on the other end, it's just as important. And so, like, if you have a celebrity or some huge CEO and everybody's like, worshiping the ground they walk on, but then if you just give somebody the same amount of respect as if it was like just any other person, you don't have to be rude or like call them out, but just giving them like, hey, this is just a human being. They've got they have a lot of accolades. They've done a lot of cool things, but this is a human being at the end of the day. And they remember that. They're like, wow, because it's something you feel like, oh wow, I was just talking to you. You're just cool, and it really helps you be memorable amongst people who are like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Who you were, this. You can, as you get to know them, you can start to like whisk that in slowly. You can start to give them flowers if you just really feel that way about that person. But I would say like giving them that baseline of respect helps keep you memorable.
Yeah, of course. Also, something that I found like when I meet someone for the first time that's also I guess like makes them human is, let's say that there's like this artist that I'm a very big fan of, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like wow, I'm such a big fan of your work. And then they start asking me about myself. It's just like at the same time, like I know like you're so amazing, you've done all these projects, but like you're showing that you're interested in someone who's probably not as, I guess, accomplished as you are, really like makes that interaction very memorable.
Mhm. Wait, hold on. I didn't quite hear that last part. Can you say that again?
Oh, I was just like makes that action very memorable. Like I have like an example of, I guess, like with Trudy,
Hmm.
she's done a lot more murals than I have. And remember when we were working on the dog mural for the vet place?
Yeah.
He kind of asked me for if I had any tips for how to like make a section. And because she asked me that, I was like, wow, like you don't make more murals than me, but you're asking me for advice. It's just like makes that interaction like very memorable and a lot more like human.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's just cool.
Yeah. It puts things in perspective. It gives you like it just helps you remember that like the the status and what is that? Like the aura, like modern terms.
Yeah.
It's like that presence they have. It's it's all like there's a human still in there,
Mhm.
and a lot of times it only really it only really takes effect like if you know who they are, because like they could probably still like go to Publix or something and like nobody would know who they are, even
Yeah.
though they're like this amazing huge influencer on all social media. Like the lady down at the Publix don't know who this person is. And so um just I think helping separate yourself from that, because it is really like that sometimes. I had a moment, like I even get caught up with it, trying to compress some of that so that I can actually meet the person. When I was at Lightbox last year, I met Nicholas Cole. You know who Nicholas Cole is?
I don't.
He did a lot of artwork for like Lorcana, and he did like the concepts for Spyro and Crash, like the latest games and stuff.
Oh, like,
Phenomenal
wow.
artist.
Yeah.
Phenomenal artist. And he is the truth. And I've been following his work for years. And I'm good at being able to just talk to people in any kind of situation. I got in front of him. It was like I couldn't help but think of all the years that his work had inspired me, and thinking about one day finally meeting him. And it caught me by surprise because I didn't know he was there. He didn't have a booth. His wife had a booth, and he pulled up at the end of the day, just like I guess to kind of check on her, just kind of chill out with her. And I heard just like off chance that Nicholas Cole was there, and I'm like, what? Where is he? And so run around that corner and I see him, and I was just like, and I was trying to talk to him, and I fumbled over my words and everything, like, and it's because of how much like mentally that he had like affected, like my creativity or just like my just all of that kind of stuff. And I let it kind of I had gotten overwhelmed with just thinking about those types of things. So I think sometimes if you know you're gonna be talking to somebody like that, maybe giving yourself a second to like digest, like, okay, this is gonna happen. This is who this person is. Yes, they had this effect. Let me sit with this for a second and digest it. I don't think I gave myself enough time to do that. I was excited.
There's also sometimes I do meet people who are very, very good at being humble. And just like you meet them, they're really cool to talk to. Just like, wow, like that person, right? And then you go look at them online and see what they did. It's like, holy, I didn't realize like they did this, and this
Yep.
at the same time.
Yep. Yep. I mean, that's you in a lot of ways, in my opinion, because I was doing research. You've done a lot of things I didn't even know that you had done from a very young age. I mean, teenager. When I was 15, I don't even think I had digital art at that time. I think I was still on pencil paper. I was scanning work into digital art, or I wasn't even like I didn't even know what Photoshop was. I remember seeing on DeviantArt, seeing people put hashtag Photoshop. I did not know. I was like, what is that? What is that even? I'm Google searching it, and they're saying it's a photo editing app. And I'm like, people drawing on it. Like, where's the thing? And so like, I'm trying to download the little trial, and I'm like, I don't I don't even know how to draw on this. Like I can't make any marks. I guess this is truly photos. So I was never on the Photoshop train because I couldn't even figure it out. I didn't even know what it was. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just stick to traditional.
Hey, but you eventually moved over.
Yeah, I got a Surface Pro tablet and I had
Oh wow.
Sketchbook Pro on there. And that was like my very first digital art experience. I had that for like a couple of months and then it got
Mhm.
stolen. And
Oh,
so yeah, and then I think probably a couple months after that, I ended up getting an iPad, and that was my whole. And so the Adobe Cloud, I know how to use Illustrator, and I'm sure I could work my way around Photoshop now if I had to. But yeah, I kind of missed that train.
oh, also shout out to Cliff Balling. Cliff, my friend. He's one of the, I guess, like friends I met online many years ago. Like I think like 4 years ago, and we met in person after knowing online first
What was that like?
in the comments. It's very, I think honestly, like most of my art friends go from like the pipeline of meeting online and then meeting them in real life. Um, it's like I don't know if it's true with you as well, but how I meet a lot of like artist friends is I get to know them online. I like hit them up on Instagram. They hit me up on Instagram, and then they say that there's like some event happening where a bunch of artists are going to go to, and then like a lot of us are meeting in one place at the same time, and that's my chance to, I guess, like meet these people in real life.
I've always wanted to do something like that. I've never, but I've seen other people do it. There was one, um, there was this group of people that I did a zine with a couple years ago, and they all were trying to go to this convention in Houston. I forget exactly when it was, but I missed it. Like I didn't make it, and I saw them all like pull up and meet each other and draw and hang out that whole weekend. And I was like so
Mhm.
sad. I was like, this seems so lit. Like this seems like something that I would love to be a part of, but I've never actually done anything like that. I think a lot of my friends that I've met online, I've met either we meet up like probably one on one. Like they'll either come to Atlanta or I'll go to where they are and I'll just meet with
Mhm.
like that one person. I've never done like the whole group thing. It sounds like it's a lot of fun, but yeah, I haven't. And I think it's a lot of friends online that I haven't quite met in person. At least the people that I'm really cool with and close to online. There's a lot of people I just have never met, and I've known them for years and years at this point. And I just kind of meet people slowly and individually. Yeah, I haven't had that experience. That sounds like it would be really fun though.
I think it like also goes like I meet with people one of one, but when I first moved to Atlanta, like I guess like one of the examples is I saw like murals around the city that I thought were really cool, and I would just like look up the username of the person on Instagram or something, like send them a quick DM saying, "Hey, like I saw your mural, I thought it was really cool," and then that's when I started going to like the ABV events. They're like, "Oh yeah, um like this artist from Atlanta is going to this ABV event, but this other artist from Atlanta is also going to the same event." So I'm just like, all right, all these people are going, let me go too. Or like even when I started helping John out with the Cabbage Town, like the Four Warrior murals, and he brought me around, like introducing me to like, hey, like I think that's where I met you too at like the Four Warrior party.
Hmm.
He started bringing me around, like talking about all these artists on these walls. They're all from Atlanta, some are not. And they're like, oh yeah, like all these people, they're gonna be here at this after party and you should come. And that's where I met you. That's where I met like some other artists I also know in Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta's really
Pretty cool.
good at bringing a lot of artists together, whether it's through means like that or through the ABV shows or even through like High Contrast, where you're
Mhm.
just able to meet just a gang of artists in one go, which I think is
Mhm.
super cool. I I think in that regard, I did meet a lot of Atlanta's artists that way. I was an intern for ABV in 2017, I think it was, and I was working the drinking doodles. So I might just sit
Mhm.
at the door, or I might be like back there opening up drinks for people who came up to get one. And I met a lot of people there. I would always try to pull up around the end and just like introduce myself to all the people like around the table. And so I think I was there for a couple of months, like maybe 4 or 5-ish months. And so each drinking doodle, I'm meeting like a new 12, a new 12, a new 12. And then even other artists are pulling up to see the work too. And so that was how I saw like a lot of the networking started there. It brings me to another question I had too, where I know that it's easy to network with these people, but do you have any strategies or any habits that you notice you keep for keeping friends? Because I think a lot of people, they might get an Instagram or a phone number from an artist that they really enjoy, admire, and they want to be this person's friend, but then they don't really know how to introduce themselves, or they don't know how to keep the relationship. Like they might go too hard. They'll like, oh my God, it was amazing meeting you, and you're this is, and they go on like this. They send a whole like TV remote sized paragraph in the chat, and it might even scare people away sometimes. And it's not like actually scary, but they're like, I'm not gonna like be responding to this person as much. And so, do you have any habits that you do or that you notice to keep
Oh,
good friends?
I see. I think I guess it's like different for like each practice. So like for like digital art is like posting my own stuff, and a lot of the times that friends I meet, we make like a group chat together. So we're always like talking in there, sending art. And I think there's this one group chat that I joined in like 24 when I was like 14 years old, and it's still active to this day. And we've been friends for like I think like probably like 7 years by now. And like we don't talk as much as like we were back in high school, but we still like keep tabs on life updates here and there. And then just like this is predominantly just like online artists. When they like post a new piece, give them engagement, comment on their work. They will see you. And then like when you post something, they will also comment. When you maybe post for help, they will like respond to you and ask you how to help. And then when I started like doing more like murals, meeting more artists in Atlanta, I realized a lot of people were like posted shows that they would be a part of, and I would try my best to go. Or in the case, like with you, if they were asking for people's help on a mural and I was free, I would just hit them up because I was actually really interested in trying to, number one, get more work and experience for myself, and number two, get to know the artist better and be a part of something that they're also working on. And especially like working on a project with another person, and you spend a lot of time talking together, and it just makes you go from like strangers to like, okay, well, now I know you in person and we've talked a few times. And it just like really moves it over to like okay, like, like we're friends now. It's less than like, oh, I just know this person and I don't really like I'm scared to like either talk to them, but like after one of us reaches out or like either help, advice, it just makes it a lot less scary to keep talking to this person. That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I think are there any, I guess it would depend on the context of the relationship, but
Mhm.
are there any areas that, like, do you normally go to, let me reach out if I ask for help or if I need help, or let me just hit them up if I see them at a show? Or I guess my question is growing the relationship tastefully. I feel like they kind of they can get out of whack if one person, if the effort and the interaction isn't mutual. If somebody's like hitting you up to like invite you over somewhere like every other day, and then the other person just keeps like waving you away, or if you're talking double, triple, quad texting this person and they ain't hit you back, you might be kind of pushing it a little too much. Or like if you go to the show and then you just like bite their ear off talking,
Yeah.
talking, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to the shows or I'm asking for help, but they not they're not trying, like they're not responding in kind. And I know it takes effort on both sides too, so it's not all on this one person. Like the other person has to be engaged with it too. But are there any like potential pitfalls? Like, I don't be doing too much, or like try this. This is a lot more digestible in the beginning, or a method that you find
Well,
work.
I think like there's always going to be people who don't want to be friends with you back. It's just like, life. I feel I feel like one thing that really helped was if you have something to show for yourself, and uh like if you provide value to this person and being friends with them, like they can also provide value to you too. I think it's just a lot easier to be like mutually friends together.
Mhm.
If you keep asking this person for help and you don't really bring that much value to them, like why would they kind of, like keep interacting with you? It's a lot of like effort on their side for no reason. Um,
That's
like
real.
I think like one thing, even if you, it doesn't have to be that you guys are just like really good friends at the beginning. Um, just like showing appreciation, like if they post something, you comment on that, you like something. If they post like, hey, like I have a show, um, just like attend, give them a few good comments. It's like very appreciative because when my friends show me support on my work, I will show them support back. And there will always be people who, like you're putting in all this effort trying to be friends with them, but they just don't want to be friends with you back. Like I feel like you just have to accept that because you can't force them to be friends with you. Um, I'm trying to think what else. I guess like one of the examples where it's kind of different for me personally was one day I was painting on the belt line, and there's a woman artist. Her name is KSRA.
Okay.
Heard of her?
I haven't.
She was on the ABV shows, but because like you don't really see that many like girls going out and spray painting. She was also just like walking around and she saw me. She's like, hey, like she went up to talk to me and she's like, hey, like it's really cool. It's like seeing women like out here painting. And I got her Instagram. She got my Instagram, and afterwards, like I didn't know who this woman was. I thought she was just like a random woman like going to talk to me. And then I looked at her work as just like, wow, like she's really good at all these art things and she has so many shows under her belt. So then I really got like a better appreciation of her work because I'm just like, wow, like this amazing artist came up to me and just commented on my work and complimented me, even though like I wasn't as accomplished as she was. And I looked at her work and I was just like, wow, this is really cool. And then I was like, I started showing support to her back. I was just like, wow, like congrats on the show. And then she's from, I think she's from Missouri, but she does shows at ABV. And when I saw her at the ABV show, like we just recognized each other because I was like showing support on her work. She was showing support on my work. So we were kind of mutuals. And then when I saw her in person, like we already knew each other and we didn't really just like completely didn't interact with each other at all. And that kind of just like kept our friendship, even though it wasn't like, oh, like I'm hanging out with you all the time, like we're really good friends. It's not like that deep, but it was just like, oh, like you're a mutual that I know, and I wish you success in life. And then she also like is supporting me as well, and wishes that I can also do great things. So there's a lot of like those type of relationships. And I think like with like deeper friendships, it just you can't really tell. You can't really force it. It sometimes it just like comes naturally as well.
Sure. I think
Mhm.
that the levels of a friendship can also, I mean, of course, proximity is important. If y'all don't live in the same area, it's gonna be kind of hard
Mhm.
to be super close friends unless y'all were close before. But depending on life circumstances and like time and like over the course of time, you might just know somebody passively for like years, and then they decide to move to the same city you're in, and then that ups y'all's friendship way more because before you were just somebody online that y'all were just kind of cool, but then now you're the only person they know in this new city because they just moved here. So now like that ups y'all's chances of like being friends. And I think that being able to compartmentalize those types of relationships, and not in like a negative way, but just understanding the context of like this
Mhm.
is just how it's gonna be. I'm busy, you're busy, it's you across the world, it just be like that. And just letting that plant be where it's at, unless outside circumstances changes it. Uh I think that that kind of stuff is really important to keep in mind too, because you just never know. It could grow into something more later on, or
Mhm.
it might fizzle out or shrink. Um, yeah, I think that sometimes I struggle with. Do you have this where it's challenging to keep up with all the people? Like I'm somebody that likes to keep up with my people. Like I have a very close circle of friends that I'll just call them. I don't like to do a whole lot of texting because it
Mhm.
takes up so much of your time and energy, like to sit and write a message. But I can jump on the phone and I can be drawing, I can be doing work or whatever, walking the dog, cooking, and I'm just like on the phone with this person just catching up. And I try to I make my rounds to people probably like once a week, you know, between a week and a week and a half. But I'd be so interested in everybody's life, especially with Instagram, because you can see the stories. And so real quick you get to see what like 12, 15 people are doing in a couple of minutes. And then I might even respond with like a question, hey, like what's that about, or what's that about, or I might post something and I get a lot of engagement. But then it'd be like mad people to get back to, but then I'm like, this is going to take at least an hour, 2 hours to get through all these messages. And so like, do you ever have that problem of trying to keep up with all of the people? I feel like it gets a little overwhelming for me, and I suffer from it because then I'm like, dang, I'm not responding back to these people. Especially if I was the one. If I responded first to say whatever and then they hit me back and I didn't say nothing, like I feel
Yeah.
I feel terrible for that.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that way. It's probably also something that I struggle with because like if I hit them up or they hit me up, I don't respond for like 2 days. But I open their message, and then I like go back, I'm just like, I'm so sorry, like, I missed their message. But then, at the end of the day, like they're chill with it. Uh I'm a pretty online person, so it doesn't take too much effort for me to like just like respond with something quick. Not to like go super deep into it. Like if I posted like my birthday and they're like happy birthday, I'm just like, oh, thank you, and then like copy and paste like thank you, and try to appreciate all the people who have wished me. Um, if someone like asks tries to ask me something, I'll try my best to respond. For me personally, I feel like it doesn't take too much effort to just like send a quick message back. And if I'm like really busy with something, I probably won't be like commenting like on or replying to all these people's stories. Um, but if I'm just like bored one day and I really do want to like support my homies or like am interested in their life and I have like the time to respond back to them, that's when I would do it. But a lot of the times I just like leave a heart.
Hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it helps a little bit. Like it feels better whenever I send something and then somebody just likes the message and that's it, because you can kind of understand like where they might be at, where they're like, look, it's nothing personal. Let me just
Mhm.
leave this. Let me just like this. Like I get you. Like I appreciate you.
Yeah, sorry, couldn't I still on the
Mm.
Yeah, I still like try to respond to people sometimes.
Yeah.
But
How is your?
work,
Oh, go for it.
oh, I was like working on it.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Mhm.
Same here. Is how is your technology usage? Do you find, are you on it too much, or are you trying to, you said that you're somebody who's online pretty often, like are you, is that helping you? Is it hurting you? How's that affecting like your life and your work and stuff?
Um, I think it's definitely like there's like a push and pull. So sometimes when I do have work to do, and then I'll get distracted by like scroll on Instagram or for whatever reason, I'm just like, dude, I need to get off my phone and start working on something. And then the other time is just like, like sometimes when you're scrolling on Instagram or like you're like clicking through people's stories and then you find an opportunity and or like you message people and then you get opportunities that way. That's also like, oh, if I wasn't online, like I wouldn't have seen this and I wouldn't have applied for it. So there's like a push and pull there. But I would say like I'm I use technology for more than I want to. But at the same time I know that, it's like where a lot of my opportunities come from. I would actually say like it depends on like how productive I am by using this technology because sometimes I would be on it for a while, but I wouldn't be like scrolling. I would be like trying to apply for things or like researching things and looking into it, which will help me. But then like time goes past really fast. I'm just like, oh, like I'm already on my phone for like 8 hours looking into this one thing. Maybe I should take a break. And then sometimes I would be on there for like 2 or 3 hours just like doing nothing, like just scrolling my phone, watching YouTube, and that's not a great use of my time. So this is like a push and pull there. But what about you?
Yeah, same, same.
Mhm.
I feel I try now to take an active like step in the other direction. So a lot of times I've tried to get this habit. I messed it up just this morning, but I was looking at this YouTuber. Do you know Healthy Gamer GG or Dr. K?
I don't think so. Well, what do they do?
He's a psychiatrist, and he talks to people online. It's not therapy, but he just talks to people about mental health and like gaming, and he was also a monk. And so he has like a spiritual from like monk principles, but then he also is like a psychiatrist, so he gives you like the scientific, uh, the neurological perspective. But then he was a big gamer before any of that, so it's like this mix of like technological, spiritual, and scientific. And he speaks about common scenarios that people our age and in this time go through. And so he talks a lot about like technology, like balance of technology, trying to figure out things in your mind and all kind of stuff like that. And I was listening to one of his videos talking about habits that you can do to kind of make yourself more productive or to get a hold of the social media addiction, phone addiction. And he was like, for the first hour, he said ideally 4 hours, but if you can do 1 hour, cool. When you get up in the morning, don't touch your phone. And so just get up. A lot of times, first thing people do, where my phone at? Half the time it's in your bed next to you because you fell asleep on it. And so you're like feeling around, where's my phone at? You find your phone and you're going straight to it. But a lot of times, what will help is if you get up, use the bathroom, brush your teeth, make breakfast, go walk the dog, do whatever you got to do. And then in an hour, come back and check your stuff. And a lot of times what it'll do, it'll help with you being able to get out of the bed and get the day started, because he talks about the dopamine receptors in your brain are kind of like it's kind of like a lemon. So if you squeeze like a fresh lemon, you only have to squeeze a little bit to get a lot of juice. But then if you squeeze the lemon already, it's going to take a lot of force to get a little bit of juice. And that's kind of basically when you're looking at your phone in the morning, it's like squeezing all of the freaking dopamine out. So then when it's time to get up and brush your teeth and make breakfast and all that, it's so much harder because you've been on Instagram, you've been on YouTube, Twitter, whatever, seeing all this cool stuff. And so now brushing your teeth isn't as cool as TikTok. It's not as cool as Instagram. And so you're like less motivated to get up and actually get started. And so if you don't have that, it's going to be a lot easier to get your stuff done. So I've been trying to do that. I messed that up today though. I was checking emails and stuff, but or one little habit I do whenever I order out and I go to like pick up the food at the restaurant, or if I get like boba or something and I'll be like waiting, I try to just wait and I won't be on my phone. I'll just like wait. I'll like people watch or just kind of like think or whatever. And I kind of give myself time to like just be in my space. And I found that it does help me focus a lot more. And it's easier to kind of stop the impulse of like just going to check your phone immediately or like feeling the phantom vibrations and stuff like that. But definitely found that it's hard to, like, I might get on my phone for one thing and then like I'll go for a Google search. You know how you have like it'll have like an article right up under the bar. And like, that might be interesting. Man, what is that? And then I'm scrolling down some article on Google for like an hour. And I'm like, bro, I was supposed to be Googling something else. Like, or even on Instagram, like, oh, let me go and post this thing that I've been needing to post. And then you get on there and like the first thing you see is something really interesting. Oh man, like I haven't seen that person's working forever. Let me go and look what else they've been up to. And then you're just scrolling. And you're like, I didn't even do what I was supposed to do whenever I was on here. It's been 2 hours. And so
I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but there was this one time, like back when I was like posting reels a lot, I was justifying my scrolling by saying that it was research.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have to keep scrolling until I find or like think of my new video idea. But then I just like ended up like scrolling, just like I try like justifying it by saying that it was like research for any ideas of what I want to post next. At the same time, it was just like, oh, like when am I gonna find the idea? Like I'm just like scrolling mindlessly right now.
Especially don't let you get down a Pinterest rabbit hole. Oh my God.
Oh man.
Woo! Man, I'll be like, yeah, I'm putting together a mood board. I'm doing character design. I'm trying to get pictures together for inspiration. I am just on Pinterest. I'm just going. The way that it's criminal. The way that like you'll see a pen and like there's so many cool ones, right? You don't even have to scroll to see like the other ones, like 2 cool ones right there. I kind of want to see that one too. And then before you know it, you're like, what, 4, 5, 6 tabs deep. And you're not even building the board that you were supposed to, or you know when you're playing, like, you got enough material and you're just still on there because it's like, man, well, this is cool. And like, I may not ever see this again. Let me go and check it out.
You ever like go out the rabbit holes? Like, let's say that when you're like, oh, I really want to make like this, I don't know, like clay thing. And then you go down this huge rabbit hole, you do all your research, and then when it comes time to like actually make it, you just like sometimes I do this a lot. I go down like this huge like research rabbit hole about like how to make clothes. And then I never pull the trigger to make the actual clothes. So I just like spent so much time like researching about it, looking at references of what I want to make, and then don't really act on it at the end of the day.
Yep. Yep. I don't it hasn't been on the like on another medium like that, but it has been on like specific subjects. So I'll research the whole history of like African masks and where they come from, what they were used for. And I think it's like really cool. And like I'll learn a whole bunch and I can pull from that stuff later, but it might be at like 3 in the morning and I'm supposed to be up at 7 for something. And I know I should have been asleep like 2 hours ago, but this is too interesting right now, and it seems like you just learn a lot more, a lot easier during like the middle of the night, at least for me.
You also work on like art in the middle of the night.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When my grandmother's passed away now, when she was still alive, um, it was a lot going on in the house during the day. And so she'd be like calling me to do something, or I gotta go over here, do an errand, whatever, or the dog's barking, or just stuff. Stuff is going on. People are coming and going. And so during the nights were the times when everybody's asleep, nobody's trying to bother me, the dog's not barking anymore. I can just put on like an album and just run it. And yeah, it was a lot of times I would draw just all through the night. And I don't know, I found it easier to get focused. I wasn't as distracted, even by even by technology. Like I wouldn't have that impulse to go on like YouTube or on Instagram or whatever whenever I'm drawing in the middle of the night. I would just find a nice little I would run whole albums like on Spotify if I found an artist that I was listening to instead of like the little mix or whatever. I'm like, let me just listen to this project, and then it was something I drew the other day. I listened to the Chromacopia by Tyler the
Oh yeah.
Creator, and it wasn't the other day. It was a little bit longer ago, but I just that album played like 4 or 5 times over. That was just all I listened to the whole time I was drawing. And so it's just like just peaceful. Did you
It's,
do that like when you're drawing in the night? Was it because of like the peace aspect, or was it just like just couldn't sleep?
I think it was kind of from habit. So like as a kid, like my parents obviously try to limit our screen time, and they'd be like, oh, like sure, like you can use the iPad for 1 hour, or they like come by and be like, oh, like why are you still on your iPad? There'd be a lot of these like distractions. And something I used to do was back when like the iPad was shared by my entire family. Like something I would do is like, all right, all the kids are going to bed. Like I have a brother, so it's just my brother and I. We're both in bed, and my parents are sleeping. But I was still awake, and I have my own room. So I would like go upstairs to where the iPad was and like take it and like bring it back down to my room, and then like just draw on it over the night, and then return it before like they woke up.
Mm,
And because like I took it in the middle of the night, they're sleeping. I have no distractions. They're not gonna come and be like, "Hey, like, why are you on your iPad so much?" Or like, "I think it's time for you to take a break." And I think like because I did that so much, it kind of became a habit. Like going into college when I have like complete freedom, I kind of just did it out of habit as well. Like during the day, I have class, going out, and then when I got back home, probably it was like 12 a.m. or like 11 p.m. And if I wasn't tired, I'd just be like, I'm bored. What do I do? Let me go work on this piece. And sometimes we'll start working on this piece, not look at the time. It'll look up again. Oh, it's 6 a.m. Like, where did the time go? And that would happen a lot. So like even nowadays, sometimes like throughout the day, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna work on this. And then I get distracted by like having to cook or like having to go here. And at the end of the night, you can't really go outside anymore because it's all dark. Everything is closed. And then it's like, okay, well, now I have time to work on this thing I said I was going to do today. So then it ends up going in late into the night a lot.
It's just something different. It just hits different than like during the day. I know some people that like to draw like early in the morning because they're like the
I
most
can't.
focused, but it's something about like, yeah, man, I tried to wake up. I tried to get up at like 8 in the morning and draw. I was miserable. Like I could barely keep my eyes open, and I was just like, yo, this is not it. But granted, I only tried one day, and I went to sleep at like 2 or something the night before, so I didn't get enough sleep. I only did it for one day, so maybe had I stuck with it for maybe a week or two, it might have felt a little bit better. But this ain't it.
Do you think it's different, like working on murals versus like just sitting somewhere and like working on your art?
Different
As in
how?
like you have like do you have more motivation to go work on murals because it's like something physical
I
other
think
than on your iPad?
I think that if it's something that I chose to do, so if it's like a mural festival like Forward Warrior where you draw your own thing
Mhm.
and you make your design, I feel like I'm more invested in that, and I'll be hyped to do that. But at the same time, um, a lot of the murals that I do are for clients and for like just companies or stuff like that. So I'm not quite as thrilled about the design. I'll still think it's cool, but I'm not like itching to get at this mural that I'm doing for this company because like it just doesn't have the same connection to me as like my own personal work. And I also think that with the digital work, I can do a little bit more in terms of just like effects and modularity of it. Like I can take the whole thing and flip it. I could, shrink it or like squash and stretch. I can add more layers on top of it or take some away. I feel like I can be a little bit more free than when I'm on the wall. Just because, like, man, if I want to reach something in the corner, I'm like, dang, I gotta put the ladder back out. I'm like, I gotta
Yeah.
get all the way up there, and that wasp nest is in the corner, and like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know if I want to do all that. But
That
at
happened
this, huh?
in a wasp nest. Was that a real thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I've had several wasp nest stories. It's in a lift, and it was like this big wasp. It was like, I mean, it was probably like this big, and it's just chilling in the corner.
yeah.
And we're up probably 45, 50 feet, and I mean, we're trying to prime this thing, and it's like not only is the wasp nest there, it's hella wasps going in and out of it. So like, it's this cloud of just enemies, and yeah, no, it's not fun, especially because you got to be careful. You got to be careful around painting them, and sometimes you can be brave. Like if it's down at the ground, you can like maybe swat it and run, spray it and run. But in a lift, the lift is not gonna move fast enough to be getting away from it. So I think with that one, we just tried to paint it in like with a brush on a stick, and we just just got far enough away from it, and then just painted it in like that. But yeah, you got to
Mhm.
be careful with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like, but there's a certain type of feel I get whenever it's like a mural festival and I'm doing my own stuff, especially when I get out there and I'm hearing other people spraying. I hear the cans rattling. I hear I hear music bumping. I already know what I'm gonna do. Like, there's something there. I'll be like a kid in a candy store. I'm like ready to get at them. Um, I was in a festival in Chattanooga probably 2 months ago, and oh my goodness, I went up there initially because I was doing another thing, and I was like, I'm not even gonna paint today. I'm gonna come back later and do it. I got up there, and same thing happened. It's like a spell. Like you just you smell the aerosol, and you're like, oof, I'm painting. I gotta paint something. I gotta put something on the wall. And I ended up going like pretty hard on it was that scorpion piece that I did for Burning Bridges. I did a lot of it in just a couple of hours, but then it started raining, and so I had to come back later and finish it up. But yeah, it literally took me from planning to not paint to I'm on the wall. I'm putting sketches up. It's crazy. I don't know what it does to me. I don't know.
I like like the same way. Like when I paint on my iPad, I like try to focus and try to like be motivated to, like keep drawing. But then like when I get a opportunity to do like a mural, I just like that's all I want to do. I want to just like spend my whole time like painting. And then
Yeah.
like sometimes like even if it's for like clients, there's like a deadline coming. I'm just like, okay, well, I have to work on it or else like the client's gonna be mad at me, and that's like my motivation to
Mm.
wake up early and go work on it.
Yeah, I think murals, because of their sporadic, at least for people like us, we don't get murals all the time. And so they can be more sporadic. I think that they can take precedence a lot of times where a mural will take all your time, but only for like a week and a half. And then it's back to
Yeah.
like regular life. And so it kind of justifies itself to be able to be like, okay, well, this is the big thing right now. Or, you're painting all day and then you're coming back to do like your other responsibilities and stuff like that. I find that even like my car or like my place just gets really messy during mural weeks because I'm just like coming home to go to sleep and then getting up and going right back out, you know.
Yeah, it's like when you get one mural, it's just like, okay, well, I have to wake up at like 7 a.m. and paint until like the evening, whatever, and like for like the next like week, every single day. And like when you don't get the murals, it's just okay, well, now what am I doing? It's
How was
very
that?
different.
How was that mural that you did in New York? I know that you were I saw a lot of different posts and articles about that mural.
Oh, okay, so that was a very bad first solo mural, I would say, because I've done murals with other people, and like they go decently smoothly in my opinion, since I don't really see all like the bad parts that happen. But when I did that mural, I did it by myself, and the building in New York, they approved me to spray paint inside. And I asked them multiple times. I was like, "Are you sure like the ventilation's all right?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, 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 it's fine." And then when I went there with all my spray paint and started spray painting, I'm just like, "Oh, well, there's not really that much ventilation in here." And it was like in a floor of like 10 floors. So the floor under the company started complaining about the aerosol smell, like the paint smell. So they called the fire department because they thought there was like a leak, like a gas leak. And I was painting there, and it was like 12 a.m. And the fire department pulls up, and I was just like, "Oh, are they here for me?" And
Yes.
then they were here for me. So they're like, "Oh, like I think like 2 days into the mural, 2 or 3 days, they're like, yeah, you had to switch to all paint, like hand paint." So I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, okay, like sure, I can do that since they're paying for the materials. Like it wasn't too big of a deal, but
Okay.
then it was just gonna take a lot longer." And I think because I was only in New York for 4 days, 4 or 5 days, for a like an 18-foot by 11-foot wall. And like what they wanted was pretty detailed, in my opinion. Um, I was there from like 7 a.m. to like 2 a.m. Like 7 a.m. to like 12 or 2 a.m. like for like 4 days straight. And after that, I was just like, I'm never doing this again.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
was it was a pretty chaotic mural, but at the end of the after I finished it, I was just like, I cannot believe I did this by myself after everything that happened. It was just like a very, I guess, like accomplishing moment where I'm just like, wow, I did that. And now I'm like back home and I have like pictures of what I did. At the same time, I'm just like, all right, next time I'm definitely like asking people to help me.
But that's the
And now I've
beautiful
learned, like,
part. Wait,
yeah,
say that last part one more time.
I'm asking people to help me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the fun part about those types of situations. I call them like glory moments where like you do the thing, like whenever they talk about like a medieval hero and they're like, yeah, he slayed a dragon with only a toothpick and a bottle of water and all, like you take down these huge projects with these crazy turnaround times or these crazy situations, and um it's really like an ego thing where you're like, yeah, I
Mhm.
did that. I killed that. Like, but I
Like,
think that,
I,
yeah, it'd be like it makes you feel really good as a creative, and I think it helps definitely with your confidence in like what you can and can't do because like you've pushed that limit before, and so like those are always fun, especially when you come out on the other side with the project being done and it didn't like crash and burn. You know, those are like those are the moments that make you.
and when I was like doing the mural, I never thought I would see an end to it. I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh, these letters for like 4 hours. This all I have done.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and you
then
got to just keep
it's
going.
not. Yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah, you got to just like keep pushing it,
mm,
and it's there's always that part in the middle where you're like, why did I do this?
yeah.
Why did I decide to do this? My only way
Mhm.
out is through. This is gonna hurt, you know.
Myself, I'm
Yeah,
my only hope
yeah,
type of thing.
yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, that's cool. So, okay, I remember. So, I mean, you got into a lot of different things. I'm curious. Um, I know that you were doing the artwork for like the fan arts and stuff for like $5 here and things like that. But once you got to get some of these bigger projects with these bigger names, you don't have to share exact numbers or anything, but like were were these projects like paid well? I think a lot of people will sometimes it'll be like, yeah, it was actually like really fire, or sometimes it's like it was really big, but I only got X amount of money, or it wasn't as impressive as it may sound. And also if it was paid really well, like how were you how are you handling that kind of money, and like what were you doing with it? I remember like my first mural job, it was actually really low for a mural. I think I got paid like $1,000 or something for like two murals. Big mural, 18 by 23-foot mural. I got paid $1,000, and I spent half of it on paint.
Yeah.
And the other half on brushes and the ladder and all this stuff. So I walked away with very little. But I
Mhm.
remember thinking to myself, it was like as a I think I was like 18 or 19 at the time. And I was like, I had never been paid that much all at once before. I'd only ever gotten like checks from my job, might be $300, $400, $500. So catching like 1,000, and then my next mural was maybe like 2,000. And I was like, yo, this is good money I'm making. This is fire. And um, and I'm like spending through it really quickly. I had to really like learn how to handle and budget getting money like that, especially once I was doing it like full time. Um, do you find that to be the case for you? Like, how was money with those types of projects?
Um, Definitely eye-opening because I think like when I was doing my projects, I started like as a kid, like $5, $10. Eventually got to like I don't know, like maybe like a few hundred at most. And then I'm trying to think what was my very first big project. Um I think it was for Call of Duty.
Mhm.
Like when I was doing the assets for them, they asked me for my pricing. And my very first project, I totally like undersold myself. I was like, oh yeah, like I can do this. Because one of the things was like, I wanted to give a decent price, but I thought that if I charged too much, like they were gonna choose someone else to do the project instead.
For sure.
So I was too scared to like charge a lot. And I think like for my first few assets, I think it was like a knife. I charged them 300. And then after I did 300 and I saw how much money they were making from the knife, I was like, oh, like I should have charged more, because it was like for a big franchise. But they gave me a few assets. It was also like, I think it was like 3 or 4 assets and they paid me 1,000. I was just, oh my gosh, wow, so much money.
Yeah.
And then after I signed the deal with Nike, that was probably my biggest like paycheck I've ever gotten in my life. Um, I told my parents. That was the first thing I did. I was like, "Hey, mom, dad, look at this," and they did not believe it, and I also did not believe it. But I was just like, I thought it was a scam at first because they were asking me for my social security number, like my tax documents. I was just like, "Is this a scam?" Because I was just like, "Oh, I've never signed a contract so big where they like need my social security and like like all of these like forms and NDAs to sign." And I guess like after I received the paycheck, I talked to my parents about this, and um, like most of it is saved for college. So like the very first few paychecks from like my biggest projects at first, they're all going towards college and like my rent of living in Atlanta while I'm in school. But I think like first thing I did told my parents, and then decided to use that money to travel a lot. So like if there was an art convention, I flew there. I had the means to, and then obviously I upgraded all of my equipment. Like I used to be finger painting on like a $300 iPad, and then after I got that paycheck, I was like, "All right, it's time to upgrade." So I bought myself like iPad Pro, and then like a better computer, so I could do what I always like wanted to do. Like because like before, I always had some sort of limitation. I'm just like, oh, I can't do this because my computer's not like powerful enough. And then after, I was just like, all right, it's gonna hurt, but I'm gonna spend this money to buy this equipment. And, like, even like with spray paint, like, after Okami paid me for their mural, I was just like, all right, I have like all this like cash now. I'm gonna spend it on like art supplies or just like saving it for college. And, like, just like oh, I have like money in my bank account now, I can go have some fun type of deal as well.
So did you
But
have
it
any?
was
I'll go for it. Finish.
I was just gonna say like it made me do the things I always wanted to.
Yeah.
What were you asking?
I was gonna ask, um, what when you were able to get to a point where you can use some of the money for fun, like, was there anything in particular besides like investments back in your craft, like better equipment and things? Were there anything that you
hmm
just bought, like, just because you're like, I got it now, and like,
Um, I think definitely like the iPad was just like, oh, I got it now. I have the iPad. Thing was I'm trying to think. Mm, I think I was able to like attend events that I wanted to, like Art Basel in Miami.
okay.
Um, Also like going to New York. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, also there was this. So do you know the artist James Jean?
Yep.
So his prints are very very expensive.
Mhm.
And after I think like after I did the collaboration with Coinbase, they paid pretty well. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna spend money and buy a print that I always wanted to from him, and then I got it.
And his prints are
But
crazy. Like they're
yeah,
fire.
really cool. And they're very expensive. So, like that purchase was like it was definitely a want. It was not a need, but I wanted it. So
Yeah.
I spent money, and I was just like, I still have it framed in my like room, and I still like look at it all the time.
Mm.
But that's one of the things. Also, I think like going out to eat a lot more
Mhm.
was a big one. And then just like I'm not too big of a spender. I think like at first, like college was like a big kind of like, oh, like I gotta get a loan for it, and it was like a big stress in life. But then after, for lack of a better word, like getting lucky, getting these contracts, it's just like, oh wow, like I can pay for college now, and my parents don't have to worry about it. And it was just like a very proud moment I had to myself. I'm just like, yeah, it's crazy. Can pay for college now without like having to, like work another job. And I'm like very, very happy and grateful that I can make art like a source of income right now. And like, yeah, I started like when I was like 11 or 12, but I never thought about it as a job. And then like having a hobby have like such a big like a turnaround, like a big like return on investment, like helped me this much was like a very like grateful moment for me. And I'm very, very, very grateful that art found its way into my life.
Especially like when you see all the different doors that it's opened up for you. You're like, it definitely serves as like nitrous in your tank, because then you're like, oh my goodness, like this is the first time or maybe the second time that me drawing has brought opportunities like this my way. And like it's like you can't help but try harder, like go back, to keep at it.
Just like motivates me a lot more because I think like back in high school, hello,
Huh?
I think I disappeared. Oh no.
Oh,
Okay, we're back.
good. Cool.
Okay. I think like another part of it was back in high school, I didn't have such a like my self-esteem was pretty low. I didn't have too much confidence, which is part of the reason why I didn't show off my art as much. And um being able to accomplish some things and having art like kind of force me out of my hole and try to and like make me meet people and talk to people and interact with like so many people from different parts of a country, like even the world. It's just like one, it made my conversation skills a lot better than what it was before. Um, I think like before when I talked to people, like I would, like it's very surface level. It would go like this far, and then like I would have nothing to say after or like add to the conversation. But it's like it has improved a lot more after like being able to meet so many different types of people and like talking to them. And then I guess like number two is just like now have like something to show for myself. It like increased my confidence by a lot. And um it's just like something I can look at and be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So for people who are listening to you and they want to be able to do what you do, they want to be able to have their artwork open doors for them. What kind of advice would you give them that you wouldn't normally hear? So there's always like the, oh, stay consistent or share your work. Those are like, sure. But is there any like, not necessarily a secret sauce where you're trying to hide this information, but more so like that underside that people don't, they tend to not see, or nobody mentions this part of it?
It's- Um, there's gonna be a lot of I guess this is not for like beginner artists. It's more for like people who are like in between the stage of like getting some opportunities and like not making it yet. And I still struggle with this a lot. It's that there's going to be a lot of opportunities that come your way, but they're going to fall through. And um, that's going to hurt a lot. It's just like, there's been a lot of times in my life where just like this, a like famous person or like amazing person with all these connections, like, oh yeah, like I'm part of this gallery. It's pretty like big. And they want to do a project with you, but then like months go by, you try to hit them up and they just stop responding and the project just falls through. Um, like in those moments, kind of have to keep your spirit up and like the cop out answer is to push through it, but it's gonna hurt a lot and you're gonna be like, oh, like, yeah, like I was gonna do this mural in the city, but last second, like they changed their plans and whatever. And I guess like my advice is to once you get one opportunity, keep putting in effort to get other opportunities instead of putting all your time and effort on this one thing that you think that you're gonna get. Or
And how do
like
they
a
do?
better way to put like don't put all your eggs in one basket. Because there was this one mural in Texas that I was planning on doing, and I was like preparing a lot for it. But when I was like very happy that I got it, I just completely stopped like looking for more opportunities. I stopped like reaching out to people. I stopped applying to things. And when that project fell through and I didn't have anything else lined up, and I'm just like in this moment where I have nothing, kind of, it's just like in the past, like I have all these cool projects. And right now I'm in like a plateau. Like people ask me what I'm working on. I'm just like I don't have anything right now. Like I'm just chilling. Or like the answer that I usually give is like, oh yeah, like I'm working on some personal projects right now.
Didn't it?
Which is like when I have nothing and that's like the answer I give to people because it just sounds better. But I realized that that could happen and it's always good to, like keep applying. Um keep I guess like looking out for opportunities so that you have a better plan afterwards. Like even if this doesn't work, like if you're like relying on art for your full-time job, like these things definitely do happen. And like when they happen, it's just like it'd be nice to have like a backup, be like, oh yeah, like I have something else to look forward to. But sometimes like when I don't have anything to look forward to, um it's nice to like focus on improving myself as well. But I just know that there will be opportunities coming my way and it's not gonna be like this forever. Which is still something I struggle with because like people have this expectation of like, oh yeah, like you worked on this project, you worked on this project, and now you're like good for like the future. So like people are just gonna like keep giving you new projects. And that's not always the case because like you have all these cool projects in the past and now like I have nothing and I don't have any like plans for like I don't know like next few months. So then like I just tell them, oh yeah, I'm just like working on my personal things. And then like I guess like something that keeps me motivated is that as long as I put the effort out to like even post my work, reach out to people, like more of these opportunities will come and it's not gonna like stay like this forever.
Yeah, absolutely. It
Yeah.
fluctuates. That's like
Mhm.
the freelancer, the way of the freelancer. It's more about surviving the down waves and
Mhm.
being able to juggle the up waves when it's like 12 things going on all at the same time, being able to successfully complete all the tasks and then having something where you can still work on in the background or things that can kind of serve you through the low moments. So it I thought of this analogy of like hunting a mammoth versus building a garden. And a
Mhm.
lot of people like they hunt the mammoth and they're like, I got all this food, I'm good. And so then they don't do anything else with it. And so then whenever they finish eating the mammoth and it's all gone, and then they're like, well, shoot, I don't know what else to do. Or like, it may not be as easy to find a mammoth, and
Yeah.
so you try to, what would help is, once you've gotten the mammoth, build the garden, and
Hmm.
you can eat on the mammoth while the garden grows. And then by the time the
Yes.
mammoth is gone, things are sprouting, and you're able to
Mhm.
like keep yourself afloat, and then you can eat off the garden until the mammoth comes through again. It's a little bit harder because it's easy to get caught up in like the yield. Like when you land a huge project and you're like, oh man, this is fire. Like, we good. And it's like, yeah, for now, but it's
Yeah.
not gonna last forever. You know,
Mhm.
gotta have something. Gotta have something. Um, it almost feels like, those people at the docks. They have like 7 fishing rods, and like
Mhm.
they're all just kind of waiting on something. Then something pulls, and they pull it in, and as soon as they catch that fish, they're throwing that reel right back out, and they're just waiting again. You kind of want to have that. What are some things that people can what are the different reels? What would be your reels that you have out, to where when one isn't biting, you can look at the others?
I have a few things. So, um, there's been a lot of times that people tell me to just go full on art, and I could do that, but I know I would struggle a lot. It would give me a lot of stress. So, like one of my backups is obviously school is a big one. Um, there's a lot of times that I get contracts and they last for a certain period of time. So, like the current contracts I have is I'm currently working on Splitgate and Call of Duty, and these contracts are like, oh, like 3 or 6 months long, and sometimes they renew, sometimes they don't. But I will always have like some contracts that give me a certain amount of time, like, and like even while I'm working uh during those contracts, I would keep looking for more opportunities to see if I could like buy more time for myself, for a lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And something else I started doing was I obviously started growing like a community on Instagram and started posting reels, because if those contracts fall through, if I graduate, don't have a full-time job, like I could always grow my audience, and there'd be no repercussions for having a bigger audience. And I could always like I could pause it, might grow slower, but I could always like come back to it later. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to constantly keep posting, keep growing my audience, or else I'm just gonna have my account deleted. Like that's not gonna happen. Um, so that's other than school, like growing my social media account was a big thing. And I think like being able to have a lot of backup plans is kind of like my different reels, my different like fish hooks.
Mhm. So I'm curious about that too, because as somebody who, I do want to grow my social media a little bit more, and like, I'm terrible at reels. Like, I get caught up. I'll be like, I'll start the first little clip, and then I get caught up in it, and then I look up and I'm about finished, and I forgot to record halfway through, or I forgot to record this specific part. And I look up and it's done, and all I have is like the very beginning. And I guess my question is, do I have to play the reels game, or are there different ways to be able to navigate this space and still grow my audience? I feel like I've kind of I've kind of detached myself from trying to like make a post go viral, or like, I don't mind growing the audience slowly, but feels like I've just been in like one little spot for a long time. What advice would you give to me to be able to grow my social media in today's climate, with like the algorithms and like AI and all kind of stuff?
I think like you did touch on this a little bit earlier. It was like remember when you did like the style challenge and it got a lot of attention.
Mhm.
So like one of the biggest reasons I wanted to move away from fan art to like my own style of art was because my fan art was getting a lot of attention because of the content inside the art and not exactly because of me and my like art skills.
Mhm.
Um, I realized that and I was just like, I want to post art and have people like it, but it doesn't have to be because like they like it because this character's in my art, if that makes sense. Like I started moving over to like my original art style and then posting a lot more reels on just like work I did for myself. And once one of those posts that started getting attention of my original artwork, I just like rinsed that as much as I could. Like kind of just milked that content. So like I think last year I made a post about like zooming out on my art and it went viral. I think it got 6 million views on TikTok, and
Sheesh.
I just like I was just like wow, and it was because it was like my art. It wasn't because I made a fan art or something. So I was just like okay, well, because this went viral, I'm gonna like remake this like type of content like 5 times and like post it until I don't know until like people stop liking it. So I found that was really helpful in growing my content. I have a friend. He's not an artist, but he's like a cook. And he also started like his account around the same time as I did. And he made like these recipes around like eggs. Men Eats, if you guys want to follow him. But he like started posting, it's like posting and it's like not getting as much attention. And then he posted one reel of him making our egg recipe and it went viral. And he just kept making like content around eggs. And that just started to like bring him a lot more like attention, a lot more followers and engagement. So I think like my advice is try to be as original as you can and like you can follow like trends. They're a good way to get like the initial engagement, but if you can have one reel that does pretty well and is centered around something original, just like milk it. Like milk the
Mhm.
fuck out of it. Like keep posting it. Like
Mm.
that's how a lot of people grow on Instagram Reels. Like there's obviously gonna be like my friends were like, why are you posting the same thing like 20 times? But at the same time, it's just like you post the same thing, but more people like different people are gonna see it. So like they might not have seen the first thing, but they might have seen the second thing that's the same thing as the first. And you're just gonna get like different people looking at your work. And
Yeah.
if your like purpose is if your goal is to try to get as many followers as you can, like who cares if like your content is the same if you're like reusing the same thing the whole time, like doesn't matter if you're getting followers, it does not matter. And if the stuff you make is cringe, you get followers and they like your work, it doesn't matter either.
Dude, that's real. Because you're listening to a different part of your brain, it sounds like. Because this isn't the one that wants to make the all original content right now. And doesn't have to be right now. You're like, the goal is to get engagement. The goal is to get, to grow the audience. And so
Mhm.
why try and listen to that other part of your brain right now when that's not the goal right now? And like, that's real. I haven't really thought about it like that, but it does make a lot of sense. It's kind of like, if you strike oil or something, like get all the oil. Like don't just hit it and then be gone. Like get all the oil and then until you find the next one.
And the thing like I thought about was there would be a lot of like accounts that would, just like follow other people's trends, but they would have nothing original. And if people are just following for the trends, like that engagement is kind of useless because like you can't really do anything with it. You can't like make them buy your work, like buy your artwork if you decide to like sell it. Um, like I think like my goal was to start by not being so original, but like I'll grow followers at the same time and I'll post something like that's more original. And eventually I want to like take the audience that I built and have them just follow me for my original work, so that if I like release like an art book, or like if I release some prints, like people, I could do something with that audience, and like they would buy my original work instead of having them follow me just for my fan art, or have them follow me just because I was following a trend.
Yeah. They like kind of just taking them off the tree and like, hey, just come here, come over here, and like, let me show you this. This is really what you want right here. Interesting. Never
Because I
thought
would see these accounts. I guess like the most obvious example that I have is there's accounts that repost other people's work, right?
Mhm.
Like they would just like steal videos, or like even like with permission, and post them on their page, and they would get a lot of followers. But then that account can't really do anything with his followers, because like all the content that they have is like from other people.
Yeah, because then like they're at the mercy of whatever they can find instead of like having the freedom to
Yeah.
make, whatever they want.
Mhm.
Mm. So on the subject of original art, I listened to a good amount of the podcast you were on, and in that you said that you were wanting to be a one of one artist, and
Mhm.
I saw that this podcast was like 2 years ago, and I was curious to know if one, what your definition of a one of one artist is to you, and your approach to get there, and if that approach or that definition has changed in the last 2 years, or is that still
Um,
even is that even still like your goal? I
okay.
know it's like
I
5 questions, but
Yeah, I think it's definitely changed. So what I meant by one of one artist is I want to paint something original and have it go up to auction and
mhm.
have it sell for whatever amount. So that's what I wanted to be at first, instead of like working at a studio as an artist, have my work, like scattered here or there, like working on odd projects all the time. And I feel like to get to like a one of one artist, it's almost like a made it artist. Mm, at first I thought I could make it as a one of one artist if I sold art, like original pieces, and like they kept selling for higher and higher and higher. I thought that's how I would make it, like having rare pieces or whatever. But then I realized that, okay, well, what if I sell a piece and then the next piece I sell after that is like decreased in value? That kind of almost like ruins the career, as how I look at it. But then I realized, like, okay, well, if I'm an artist working on these really cool IPs and I sell art, like my personal art is here and there, that's also a way to get my name out there with all this experience. And I guess I'm still working towards that goal of like trying to be like, hey, like, yeah, like this artist worked on this game, this game, this game, and now they're selling an original piece of art that could go up to auction in a museum. But then I realized, like, at first when I like started selling my pieces for a good amount and now it's slowed down, um, a goal has just like gone a little bit further away from me. And now I'm focusing more on like working on these little IPs and getting more experience, other than having my one other than just relying on just selling one of one pieces. Because like let's say that I'm using some numbers right now. So my very first one of one piece that was a commission that I sold to someone was for $5,000. It was on like a really big canvas. And I was like, wow, like my art is worth like $5,000 now. Like every piece after this has to either be like this amount or higher. And then I realized, like, okay, well, I'm trying to sell this piece for like 5K and no one's buying it. And like now what, it's just like, is this like the end of my career? And then that was like 2 years ago. But I realized that I'm still getting opportunities to work on these IPs. And even though I'm not selling my work for that high, and like these companies are paying me maybe like a few hundreds or like a few thousands for like the pieces of work that I'm giving them, it's fine for me to like do this work for them. But when I want to sell like my personal artwork, I have like the standard of trying to be a one-of-one artist, if that makes sense.
For sure. You're having different, it sounds like you're making your work more accessible to different ranges. So it's not like
Mhm.
you're only making $5,000 work and climbing, because then you miss out on a lot of people who want to support you but only have 1,000 or only have 500. And so then you have options for them too. And you're able to like be more flexible and you make your artwork more accessible to everyone. I think that
I think
helps a lot too.
oh, it does help. I think a way that my art has changed after I established that goal was I kind of stopped doing like commission artworks because unless they're for like that price or higher, I just stopped doing like general commission artworks like I'll draw a character for $20. I kind of stopped doing that because I want to value my art as like more scarce and more valuable. And I only started accepting like commissions or like contract works from like commercial projects instead. And that's where I'm at currently. And my end goal is to be able to sell like my own artwork consistently and like for this amount. But right now I'm still like taking in contract jobs for like different IPs. And the difference is that I'm no longer like taking in commissions for like Instagram for like, just for like random people.
And can you draw my dog?
I don't know if you're the same.
Mm, I don't think I get very many commission messages anymore. I think
Mhm.
that nowadays it is more for, I get a lot more invitations to shows and things, or I'll get, if it's a commission, it's like a some sort of like IP where you just do
Yeah.
this thing for this project and then it's over with. But I
Mhm.
don't really get commissions like that anymore. And the past couple ones that I've gotten have been like spam emails. Like, you ever get that
Yeah.
one where like it's talking about I need a painting for my husband's anniversary,
Come
and
on.
they, we're looking to see some of your work, and I'm like, why do you say my husband's anniversary? Is that not your anniversary too? Or like what? And I don't
Ano-
know. Hmm?
oh, I think like another one is like I don't know if like your friends or family or like they will like ask you they're like, hey, like can I commission you
Oh yeah.
for like and then like sometimes it's like close friend like sure why not.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's just like you know
Yeah,
I
I
mean
think that's the beauty of doing what you do, because you're able to kind of make those calls. And so if it's somebody who, if they're just like a really good friend to you, or you just really care about the project, or it means a lot to you, you're able to do these things for whatever type of budget they may have. But
mhm,
then um they sometimes it does get itchy sometimes, especially at least for me growing up like with my family. Um, they it was either expected to be for free or for very little, and that started to get a little bit itchy once I started making more money, because when I'm making $20 here, $30 there, they're cool with paying a little 20, 30, $25 for a drawing, sure. Then once you start making hundreds or thousands off of the work, you don't necessarily want to go back and draw it, because you already didn't really want to draw it before, but you're like, I mean, it's reasonable money, but now it's like you don't really want to draw it and it's for very little. And so it's like, but then they're like, oh, but whatever relationship. We cousins or we family or whatever. And you're like, yeah, I know, but I'm I'm kind of cool on it, man. Like, and yeah, I've had stuff like that happen, where I've had turbulence with family members and stuff because I wasn't able to because I wasn't willing to do work for them for very little or for free, and like it's
Mhm.
just like that sometimes.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
that great, you know.
Yeah,
But
but yeah, it's really like that. I think it's you're bound to have those types of situations as you increase your prices. Because even some people, like the money that you make right now, commissions you're good for right now, as you go up, you'll start to exit people's budgets, and then they'll start to, hey, what about this? What about blah blah? And you're like, "Mm, maybe if y'all are cool, you might still honor that, but if not, it's tough, tough, man.
I'm curious, like when you get like me personally, I haven't gotten like huge commercial like mural projects, but when you do get those projects, like how do you usually like know how much to charge them? Is it like you offer I think like we talked about this before, like you give them like three like different options to choose from.
Yeah, it depends on the space, and it
Mhm.
depends on what it is they're looking for. So if somebody comes to you and they're like, "We want whole building painted," you're like, "All right, now that's gonna be a check." But sometimes, um, you can have like maybe you give them an option for half or an option for just the front of the building, and then you give them an option for like the whole thing. But one thing that helps is I do a square footage charge, and that way they're able to work with their budget in terms of like how much of what do they want painted. So if I'm going for 30 a square foot, then you're able to like measure out, okay, well, we've got this much money. We want to be able to um do just the front. That's what we can afford right now. And then maybe we come back later and do some more or whatever. And I think it makes things more flexible because then you're like, okay, it's not so like it's gonna be this and that's it. Take it or leave it. Because then like sometimes you could come down a little bit and like you're able to get the project. It's a weird line. It's a game a little bit you play, and I think the context of the person itself, of the client themselves, is very important. In terms of like if you really want that project, say it's a project that you really enjoy and that you really like, but maybe it's not paying quite as much as you normally would charge, but it'd be a cool project. Or like maybe you don't have anything else going and you could really use this. It's not what
Mhm.
you normally charge, but it is better than $0. So let me come down on the square footage rate just a little bit. And I think that understanding your client can help with how much you can kind of push and pull that. So if you know that this client is like a huge company, and think about like how much money they make and how much money they may have, and see what's their tone when you speak about pricing. When did they bring it up in the conversation? Like, is price the first thing they ask about? Their budget might be a little bit lower, or they may be a little bit more worried. Or are they speaking more about the vision and about what you can do? Then it's like money's kind of a second thought for them, because then they're like, well, we know we could pay for it, we're just here to figure out what we need to create. But then if you got somebody that's like, what's it going to cost to do this, they might be a little bit shorter on funds. Or like, is it a huge corporation or is it like a mom and pop shop, a little
Mhm.
restaurant like in, on the corner? Or is it like a school? Is it some grandma with her living room? Or like understanding the context, even what kind of car did they pull up in? What kind of, who like what kind of um like how do they how do they interact around the conversation of finances? I think will give you context into your client. and it'll help with that game of like finding a price that works for both of you.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes I'm just like scared to charge like what I want because do you ever like get scared to charge like a certain amount because you're like, oh, like what if they choose someone with like a lower price than you?
For sure. And that's part of the thing too. So like if you know that there's other people in the running, that might be part of your decision making process. Maybe that's why you have options, because then that way, like, this other person only has one option and they may have been a better fit, but then you had an option that was a little bit lower, and so they were able to pick you. But then if it's somebody where they're just coming straight to you, there's no competition, and so then you're able to negotiate prices better because you're the only one that's in the running, versus if you give them a bad price and there's 10 other artists in line, they're like, no, we're good. And so, yeah, I think just understanding that context can help. I think if there's more artists involved, giving more options helps, because even subtly that lets them know that you're down to like be flexible with pricing. And that can even be like a conversation starter in itself, you know.
Of course, I see.
Mhm. What's
It's,
the most important thing that we haven't talked about yet?
uh, so I think we hit most points art related. Oh, I have a kind of an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that art is something that you would do for like the rest of your life, or do you see yourself retiring and like I guess like um something that I noticed was just like with like older artists, like they draw a lot of like I guess like landscape or like old like Mickey Mouse cartoons type of style. I guess like in like 50 years, do you think that your art style is gonna stay like this cartoon style, or do you think it's gonna like change?
Mhm.
Or-
So, to answer your first question, I definitely plan to do this till the day I die. I think that drawing for me is the way that I can bring my imagination to a tangible form. And so that's just been it's just been with me all my life. Like, I've gone through different sports, different extracurricular activities, musical instruments, all this stuff. Art has been right there with me the whole time, letting me express myself and and show love to different things that I enjoy in life. That's gonna be with me. I'm locked in with it. In terms of the style, I think that my style will change because it's changed already. Like, I don't draw the way that I used to. And there was times where I wanted to be more realistic with things, or there were times where I wanted to have my artwork be more dense. Like, like those really dense doodle styles where it's just a bunch of characters mashed into one little canvas. I was inspired by an artist named Lay Melendres in the Philippines, and he tagged it like a doodle style, and I was like entranced with that style. And I got all the little ink pens and drawing all these little creatures, and I don't draw like that anymore. But I still kind of have that in me. If I need to pull from that, I can, but I don't really do that anymore. And I think that as I grow and change, and as the world grows and changes, so will the art, because I'll be seeing it differently. So I have to express it differently. I'm not sure about how much. Like, I may not get away from cartoony, or maybe I have no idea, but I'm pretty confident that it'll change for sure. What about you?
I think my work will definitely change. I think like because right now I'm still trying to improve every single day, and I don't know how much better I could. for- Like, I don't know when I'm gonna hit that point where I can't like improve anymore. If that makes sense. Like right now, I know there's still like this I can improve on, that I can improve on, but like if I keep drawing for like the next like 40 years, right? I wonder like is my art gonna just like hit a certain point where it's just gonna start looking like that forever, or is it gonna like I don't know like completely change one day? Like when I started doing art, I did characters, and then it's just like one day I was like, all right, I'm gonna do landscapes now. And it just completely changed. So I think like something I was like curious about is like let's say that I do make a name for myself using my current art style, and it gets to a point where I'm just like, okay, well, everyone knows me for my style, and like I guess it's like kind of a problem right now as well. It's just like it kind of limits me from exploring other things because everyone knows me for this style, and I draw this other style, and no one knows about this other style, and they probably don't like it as much. So I just like end up going back to the style that everyone else likes.
Mm.
Um, I wonder if it's gonna be like this for a while. And something else I was wondering was, at least like for myself, I wonder like, what's the best artwork that I am going to make in my lifetime? And there's like this piece that I worked like 60 hours on. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, is it possible for me to like do another piece like better, longer, more detailed than this? And I definitely think so, yes. But also I wonder just like, what is going to be like the best artwork I ever make in my entire life? You know? I wonder like when that moment's gonna like start or ends, type of thing. Because there's a friend I know, his name is like Zaid, and he's been working on this one art piece for like 3 years now, and he
One
calls it
piece.
his 3 years, maybe even longer. But like it's huge, and like he's like, oh yeah, this is my magnum opus. Like this is the artwork, and like when you really do like a piece like that for so many years and then you finish it, like I wonder like when that moment's gonna like also come for me, and if like, oh, after that, am I even like gonna be satisfied with this piece? Am I gonna like I don't know, like one day go live in a mountain and like paint a piece for like 5 more years or something? I don't know. I'm just projecting into the future, but it's just like it's not really this isn't really a question. It's just like, oh, like it's just something I thought about.
Yeah. It depends on like I think it depends on what like how do you define your best work? Like is it
Mhm.
the time? Is it the longest amount of hours? Is it the most detail? Is it the best aesthetics? Is it the highest selling? Is it the most social impact? Like what defines the best? And then I think that might even change depending on how you look at it. Like you might have a best work right now, and then later it's something else because what you value is different.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it might be
And
shifting.
I just always wonder like I don't know, I'm just like curious. I'm just like, how's my art gonna change in the future? Am I
Yeah.
gonna like hit a point where like, I can't see into the future right now, but I'm just I thought about these things sometimes.
Yeah. I think I wonder that as well, where I think with a magnum opus, I don't think it would be a singular piece for me. I think it'd
Mhm.
be more of like a thing, some sort of like story or like franchise, like how like George Lucas made Star Wars, and like that's his like most people would call that his magnum opus because he made this whole just empire of stuff. And I think that that would be more something in line with what I'm making, or like what I would like if I could fast forward to the future after I'm dead and they're like, well, what was his magnum opus? You know,
Mhm.
I'm hoping that it's something along those lines, just some sort of series or game or story, something. Because it's too many things out there put on one canvas. You know what I mean? Like it's too many. Maybe if you had like one of those like infinite scroll canvas
Just
things.
like
But
one piece.
yeah.
Oh man, that's a lot of that big file.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think that kind of stuff is important because you think about how certain series. Do you watch a lot of series and shows, and do you read a lot of books and stuff like that?
I do.
And like when you think about their impact on your life, do you have any that stand out as like super inspirational or like impactful? It wouldn't be you without this thing.
I think I don't have any that are like art related, but mostly like wow, like the writing in this was really good. Like, um, so I don't watch as many shows I used to do, but like as a kid, first time seeing like I know it's not a great movie, but like Batman versus Superman, and that was like my first like kind of taste of what really good or like decent CGI was. I was just like, wow, like how did they like make this, you know? And like this storyline was complete and like everything like came full circle. And then I like also watched like Sherlock on Netflix, and it's just like, you know, like how could someone like think of this type of thing? Like how did this conceive into a thing? And it's just like it's just amazing how like how things could be made. Like even with like some anime series, like 500 like 500 episodes, like how did people make this? You know, like try to make like a 10-second animation, I'm just like already like dying on the floor. But they made like this many. It's just like wow. It was like very inspiring.
Yeah, it takes time,
Mhm.
man. Like there's no way you're getting all that done in like one sitting. And I think that people like that usually have like a lot to say, and they have to spread it out over all those episodes. Like you're not maybe if you get a good deal with some sort of company that pushes out your work, you might make up some stories, but a lot of times stories that are that long, like they they have this huge tale that they want to tell people, and it just won't fit into a movie or a show. Like it's gotta be like a journey.
Mhm. Like imagine like some person thought about this idea and it just like turned into this huge thing, you know. It's just like wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it starts simple. It starts simple. Like when you think about like Adventure Time, it's just like a kid and a dog in this weird world. And then over time it gets crazier and crazier. Or like, SpongeBob. It's a sponge and a pineapple
Yeah.
working in a restaurant. And I mean, and it became something so huge and it started so small, you know.
Okay.
So I don't know.
And
Those
now
always
like that
fascinate me.
I just gonna say like now like that franchise or like these images are just in like so many like people's head, like memories, nostalgia. It's kind of crazy.
Man, what for for Star Wars Day, I saw a dude, he had a Darth Vader tattoo on his arm, and his son was named Anakin. And I'm like, bruh,
Oh,
you made something where they named a child after one of your characters. Like,
that's crazy.
that's so powerful. That's powerful. Like,
Yeah.
mm, that's it's a beautiful thing, man. I think gotta love shows and movies like that, or just things in general. Even games can do that, in books too.
Yeah, games. But
Creativity as a whole, just mm, mm. But man, um, thank you for this conversation. I
of
think
course.
that this was very eye opening, and I mean, I knew that there was a lot that I didn't know about you already, but it it's been really nice getting to know your story and getting to know how much you enjoy the craft and how much you you really study this and you really take this very seriously, and I can tell that these opportunities didn't come your way for no reason. Even if they were like lucky, quote unquote, but they stuck with you, you know, because of the artist and the creative that you are. And I think that, I mean, it's only just the beginning for you, and I'm very excited to see what kind of places you go to in life and be supporting along the way.
All right, thank you so much, and thanks for having me on this podcast. There's a lot of things that we talked about that also really helped me, and now have like a new perspective on things going into them. So thank you for the advice that you gave me, and
Right.
I really hope the best for you too, and that we will be very successful.
Absolutely.
Good things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I also wanted to know, who would you nominate to be on the podcast in the future? Who would you like to see?
I love to see Trudy.
Mhm,
She has
mhm.
or Emma Gilbert.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
She did a
Maybe like Tom.
crazy mural recently. Like
Yeah, it
on the
was
side of like some apartment complex or some condos or something. That was crazy.
maybe like Thomas Turner, if you know him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, his stuff is crazy too. My
Yeah.
God. So, I mean, the kind of stuff he puts down is just like, and it's wild because it seems like he kind of got that, like he was working, and then it just kind of like hit a certain spot, like a melting point, and skill just went up like
Yeah.
crazy. Like it
Wow.
was slow and then it was fast, you know?
Mm.
You're like, whoa, where did this guy come from? Is this the same guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's insane. He's freaking insane. But cool.
But
Well, yeah, I
those three
think
are really.
what's up?
I think those three are really cool people. I would love to
Absolutely.
see them.
Absolutely. Hopefully one day we will have episodes for all three of them. Cool.
So,
Well, good luck with everything. And yeah, this has been great. This is fun. Thank you.
all right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Mhm. All right. Same to you.
All right. See ya.
All right. See you.
Thank you so much for watching the episode. One of my favorite things about doing this podcast is hearing about when someone resonates with something we said. It's truly the reason I continue to make these happen. Comment down below what stuck with you, and we can continue the discussion further. Also consider liking and subscribing. It helps me bring in more amazing creatives and helps me make this show better for you all every episode. Catch y'all next week.